Chapter 704. Long Yu and Shu Chan were a little surprised by Long Yao's berserk stance. This turned out to be an innate magical power that attacked one's aura and mental state. They had never encountered such a method before. However, this did not mean that the two of them had no way to deal with it. Magical power, Azura, incarnation. Behind Shu Chan appeared a burst of strong Azura divine text, and then an Azura divine text avatar that was exactly the same as her appeared behind her. No, it was not exactly the same. The power of this Azura incarnation was even stronger than Shu Chan herself. Break! The Azura incarnation opened its mouth, and the Azura divine text gushed out, dispelling the berserk stance that was attacking Shu Chan. Then, the Azura incarnation rushed straight towards Long Yao. Amazing! Long Yu saw this and was impressed. However, he was still affected by the berserk stance, and his aura was suppressed to the extreme. However, it was impossible for this berserk stance to affect Long Yu's mental state. How strong was Long Yu's mental state after experiencing 14 reincarnations? Even Death Messenger did not know the limits of Long Yu's mental state. Even death could not affect Long Yu's mental state, let alone a mere King Realm Martial Cultivator's magical power. For Long Yu, even if his aura was completely suppressed, so what? His strongest means was a sudden assassination. Since it was an assassination, what kind of aura was needed? Spiritual concealment. The opponent's berserk stance turned out to be the best cover for Long Yu. Long Yu used spiritual concealment and did not reveal a trace of his aura. Originally, Long Yao might have felt the presence of Long Yu through the airflow and so on. But now, he had disappeared. Long Yu had completely disappeared in front of him. In the face of the berserk stance, Long Yu and Shu Chan used different means to deal with it, but the result was the same. The berserk stance did not affect the two of them at all. The Azura incarnation quickly attacked, and soon engaged in close combat with Long Yao. The Azura divine text continued to erupt, and the Berserker divine text swept across the battlefield, completely suppressing the Azura incarnation. However, this was just Shu Chan's avatar. It's almost time. Shu Chan's eyes were clear. She knew very well how to cooperate with Long Yu now. She immediately raised her hand and pointed at Long Yao. Magical powers, Shura's grip. Long Yao, who was fighting with the Azura incarnation and was about to completely defeat it, did not have time to react. A slender arm condensed from Azura divine runes gripped his waist tightly. This was a control-type innate ability, the grip of Azura. It condensed Azura divine runes from afar to imprison the opponent on the spot. Azura's grasp and Azura incarnation were the new innate techniques that Shu Chan had comprehended after she had advanced 2 levels, and they were already mid-tier techniques. Just as Shu Chan made her move, Long Yu, who had been hiding in the dark, also made his move. Spectral Spiral, Soul Seal Siphon, 7th grade God Chain, and mid-tier technique. When these 2 techniques were combined, it could produce a terrifying effect. Previously, Long Yu had used these 2 techniques consecutively to cripple Ling Zimo, who was in the 7th Daos divine power realm. Now, the same scene had befallen the crown prince of the dragon residence, Long Yao. At this moment, Long Yao was imprisoned by the grip of Azura, and there was still a little power left in the Azura incarnation that was harassing him. Berserker's Fist. When the 7th grade God Chain, the Spectral Spiral, began to condense beside Long Yao reacted almost immediately. He raised his hand, and the Berserker divine runes condensed into a Berserker's Fist in his hand. This innate technique was actually a high-tier technique. The power of the Berserker divine runes exploded, and with the addition of the power of Long Yao's inner world, the destructive power of this technique became extremely terrifying. Even if he was imprisoned by the grip of Azura, he could still use this technique, and this technique instantly exploded around his body. Whether it was the grip of Azura, the Azura incarnation, or the spectral spiral that had just begun to condense, all of them were forcibly broken by this technique. The rainbow god suction runes descended from the sky, and through the gap of the berserker's fist, it shrouded Long Yao like a rainbow in midair, cutting through the space. The berserker's fist only had the power of one punch. As the berserker's fist dissipated in the air, the rainbow god suction runes instantly covered Long Yao's entire body. Unfortunately, Long Yao was still wearing the berserker armor, and it directly blocked the rainbow god suction runes. Absorb! Long Yu was hiding in the dark. Seeing this, he saw that the rainbow god suction runes did not continue to try to penetrate the berserker armor, but directly absorbed the power of Long Yao's berserker armor. When the rainbow god suction runes were exhausted, Long Yao's berserker armor became riddled with holes. Oof! Long Yao did not expect Long Yu and Shu Chan to be able to fight with him to this point, even forcing him to reveal many of his trump cards. These were originally used to deal with other King Realm opponents, but they were directly exposed at this time. His face showed a touch of malevolence. In that case, he wanted these two people in front of him to die a horrible death. Godchain, do you think you're the only one who knows how? In the secret realm of the King Path, I am a King Realm powerhouse, and I have long mastered the means of Godchain. Long Yao raised his head and looked around, but he did not see Long Yu's figure. But it did not matter. His Godchain was called War Shadow, and it could completely cover the entire arena. Even if he could not see Long Yu, so what? He could directly cover the entire martial arts arena and kill him. Wouldn't that be enough? Godchain, War Shadow. The King Realm powerhouse made his move, condensing the Godchain. In an instant, the power of the Berserker Divine runes swept the entire arena, spreading out in a magical arrangement, filling every corner of the martial arts arena with the aura of a Berserker. One by one, figures vaguely appeared on the martial arts arena. These were Godchains condensed by the Berserker Divine runes, War Shadows. Each War Shadow had the absolute power of a King Realm powerhouse. Dozens of War Shadows joined together and began to sweep the entire arena. Although they were not as strong as Long Yao himself, they were used to deal with martial cultivators in the secret realm of the divine powers. Even if dozens of War Shadows besieged a King Realm powerhouse at the same time, the other party would definitely not be able to withstand it. However, Long Yao had overlooked one point. He knew Godchain. Long Yu knew Godchain, then Shu Chan, whose cultivation was higher than Long Yu, could not know Godchain. Godchain, Azura Storm. Shu Chan's eyes lit up. She was waiting for the other party's Godchain to make its move. Azura Storm was recorded in a jade slip by her father, Azura King, when he was alive, so that she could comprehend it herself. 8th grade Godchain, the same grade as Long Yao's War Shadow Godchain. The Azura Divine runes instantly condensed into a storm, spreading in all directions, sweeping the entire arena. The unparalleled destructive power actually tore apart the War Shadows one by one. Long Yao was indeed a King Realm powerhouse. He had condensed his own inner world, and with the power of the inner world, the destructive power of his War Shadow Godchain was even stronger. However, when they encountered the equally destructive Azura Storm, the battle silhouettes were unable to withstand it. The War Shadows could resist the Azura Storm and even defeat Azura Storm. However, the Azura Storm continued to sweep forward. The nature of the Godchain was different, allowing Shu Chan's Azura Storm to completely restrain Long Yao's War Shadow Godchain. Long Yu's figure quietly appeared behind Long Yao at this moment. Holding the Nether Void Dragon Blade in his hand, he directly stabbed towards Long Yao's back. The sharp, ancient top-grade combat weapon made Long Yao feel the imminent danger. Go to hell! Long Yao punched back, and the Berserker Divine runes directly exploded, hitting the Nether Void Dragon Blade. Boom! Long Yu's whole body trembled, and the Nether Void Dragon Blade could no longer move forward. However, Long Yao's punch was just an ordinary punch and did not use any magical powers, so it could not hurt Long Yu at all. Again, Long Yu clenched the Nether Void Dragon Blade and moved forward again. At the same time, He quietly absorbed a trace of Long Yao's soul seal and stored it in the internal groove of the nether void dragon blade. Soul explosion. The soul seal in the 8 soul seal grooves suddenly exploded, and as Long Yu held the nether void dragon blade and stabbed forward, it exploded directly beside Long Yao. Long Yao did not expect Long Yu to attack so closely. He was a little surprised, and before he could react, he was suddenly faced with such a violent attack, and his face suddenly changed. "You want to kill me, Long Yao? Is it that easy? You're just a kid with 3 divine realms." Long Yao roared, and the berserker divine runes covered his whole body, and then the power of the soul explosion came crashing, completely shattering the layer of berserker divine runes, and then his whole body flew out. He had almost used up all his means, and even the berserker armor had been absorbed by Long Yu's soul seal siphon. How could it be so easy to defend against the power of the soul explosion? If it was only Long Yu or Shu Chan alone, they would definitely not be Long Yao's opponent. But with the 2 of them joining forces, the threat to Long Yao was greatly increased. Generally speaking, the king's realm had many means, such as god chains, magical powers, and so on. But now Long Yu and Shu Chan both had god chains, and the number of magical powers they had was much stronger than Long Yao. Even if they offset each other, in the end, Long Yao would lose first. One had to know that whether it was magical powers, god chains, or martial skills, it was impossible to use them a second time in a short period of time, unless one took a special Great Desolate level elixir. Long Yu still had 10 of such elixirs for emergency use. Of course, it was impossible to take them on the martial arts arena. They were obtained from Prince Yun Tian, and they could not be exposed. Moreover, they were extremely precious, and Long Yu used them to save his life. One move to send Long Yao flying. Long Yu's figure moved and continued to chase after Long Yao with the nether void dragon blade in his hand. Long Yao's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. A mere 3rd divine realm kid actually dared to fight him in close combat. He was simply courting death. "You have a combat weapon, but I don't?" Long Yao raised his hand, and a berserker axe appeared in his hand. With a ferocious face, he swung it towards Long Yu. A Great Desolate level combat weapon, Long Yao's combat weapon, was very good and could even be said to be the strongest combat weapon that ordinary martial cultivators could obtain. Unfortunately, in front of the nether dragon blade, it was still nothing. "Break for me." A soul explosion did not kill Long Yao. Long Yu knew that the gap between his and Long Yao's cultivation was too big, but this did not prevent him from continuing to attack Long Yao. He did not want to stab Long Yao to death, but he felt that his compatibility with the nether dragon blade had reached the edge of a breakthrough. A breakthrough was to be compatible with Tianqi. Chapter 705. Long Yu's sudden close-range attack surprised Long Yao. He did not expect Long Yu to dare do this. Axe of the Berserker break, Long Yao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Of course, he had far more tricks up his sleeves. But the problem was, if he had to use all his tricks to deal with these 2 brats in the mystic realm, he would lose face. Thus, he was prepared to not use any other methods. He would just block Long Yu like this, exhausting all the divine characters and energy in Long Yu's body. After all, he was a King's Realm expert, and his body was full of power. A Mystic Realm martial practitioner wanted to compete with him in terms of divine runes? Far from it. What's more, Long Yu was only in the Mystic Realm. With a shout from Long Yao, the axe of the Berserker shone with a terrible brilliance as it swept towards Long Yu. Long Yu was not afraid. Block! The nether dragon blade was clenched in his hand and blocked the strongest beam of light from the axe of the Berserker. As for the other beams, they landed on Long Yu's body. Puff! Long Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. The aura of an expert from the Qingwei mystic realm was far stronger than his. Long Yao, the crown prince of a long residence, was extremely talented and had stepped into the Qingwei mystic realm. How could he be defeated so easily? It was not easy for a mystic realm martial practitioner to fight against a King's Realm expert. However, Long Yu relied on the immemorial body refining martial skill. the Death Realm body refining martial skill to withstand the remaining power of the axe of the Berserker. At this time, Shu Chan's attack came again. Innate mystic ability, Azura Explosion, combined with the great desolate level mid-grade combat weapon and the primordial Azura Compass. The explosive power of the Azura Divine Runes was extremely terrifying. Even Long Yao could not help but be moved. His expression changed slightly as he waved the axe of the Berserker again. The power of the Berserker's divine runes vibrated in all directions, forming ripples that swept out in all directions. The Berserker's divine rune was the king of battle. In terms of aura alone, the Berserker Divine Rune was the undisputed champion among the 8 types of divine runes, and this aura could often increase one's actual combat strength. Long Yao's axe directly split the Shura blast beam in half. Even though he had used the power of the Heart Realm, it was still shocking. As expected of a King Realm expert. Kill. Long Yu's assassination continued. The Nether Void Dragon Blade was like the gaze of the Grim Reaper, breaking through the distance of tens of feet and appearing behind Long Yao. Boom! Long Yao's reaction was extremely fast. He swung his axe behind him and blocked Long Yu's attack. That's it. Soon, Long Yu's entire body was sent flying as he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, his eyes were filled with anticipation. Tian Shi, the fusion with the Void Nether Dragon Blade, was right before his eyes. Annoying fly, I'll get rid of you first. Long Yao looked at the injured Long Yu, and his eyes flashed with killing intent. He raised the battle axe in his hand. Innate magical power, battle berserker armor. So fast, Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. The means he had just used, whether it was magical power or something else, could not be used now because the meridians that used those means were still in a state of exhaustion. If he used it forcefully, it was very likely to damage his meridians. Of course, on the martial arts practice stage, no elixir was allowed. This also made it impossible for Long Yu to use the same move again and again. Battle Berserker Armor. Long Yao's entire body was once again covered with Berserker's divine runes. His whole body glowed with an extremely terrifying aura. In the state of Battle Berserker Armor, it was impossible to hurt Long Yao with the Void Nether Dragon Blade alone. This was his innate magical power. Not only did it cover his entire body in armor, but it could also use the Berserker's divine runes to enhance the battle axe in his hand, making it even more powerful. In a short period of time, Long Yao actually used the same move, which amazed everyone watching the battle. This recovery ability, not bad. It seems that Yao has made a lot of breakthroughs recently and is one step closer to the middle stage King Realm. In the spectator seats of the Long Mansion, Long Yao's father, the master of the Long Mansion, looked at the battlefield with joy. He did not expect Long Yao to have a breakthrough in this battle. Although he was forced to reveal his trump card in the face of only 2 opponents in the mystical realm, it was still a good thing that his son's strength had improved. The King's Path mystical realm included 3 distinct stages: the Emperor Realm, and King Realm. And these 3 stages were divided into the early stage, middle stage, and late stage. At the peak of the mystical realm, the martial cultivator would use the divine fruit as the foundation to erupt and condense an inner world. This was the early stage of the King Realm. At this time, using the power of the Heart Realm to temper the meridians of the whole body could increase the recovery speed of the meridians. Once the meridians were strong enough, they could continuously use the same method without any restrictions. This was the middle stage King Realm. It seemed that Long Yao had already tempered and strengthened many of the meridians in his body, which was why he could use the same method so quickly. Long Yu had obtained a lot of elixirs from Prince Duan that could relieve the burden on his meridians, so he could use the same method in an instant. Such elixirs were completely useless for cultivators in the middle stage King Realm. This showed that even Prince Duan had not stepped into the middle stage King Realm. From the early stage of the King Realm, it would take a long time to constantly temper the meridians to the middle stage King Realm. If the inner world was not strong enough, it would probably take decades to achieve this breakthrough. So far, No one in the North Snow Empire had been able to step into the middle stage king realm before the age of 30. Berserker equipment. Let's see how you can resist this. Long Yao laughed arrogantly, and his expression was arrogant. The Berserker axe in his hand had already exuded a terrifying aura, and it slashed towards Long Yu across the air, bringing with it a Berserker Divine Rune axe radiance, descending on Long Yu's head. I can't block it, Shadow Release. Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. He immediately knew that even if he used the Dead State Body Refining, he would not be able to block the opponent's axe. The only thing he could do was, of course, dodge. His whole body turned into a jet black light, fleeing towards the other side of the martial arts arena. However, the tail of the light was still struck by the opponent's axe radiance. Under the state of the Berserker equipment, Long Yao's strength continued to increase, and even the speed of his attacks increased a lot. Even with the Shadow Release, Long Yu could not completely dodge it. Puff! A ray of blood light bloomed from his hand. If he had not blocked the attack with the Nether Void Dragon Blade at the critical moment, his entire arm would have been cut off. Fusion. Tianqi. However, at this moment, Long Yu's blood dripped onto the Nether Void Dragon Blade, and finally produced a spiritual fluctuation. This was a wonderful feeling. At this moment, Long Yu seemed to have merged with the Nether Void Dragon Blade in his hand. The Nether Void Dragon Blade was now like his limbs. At this moment, the ancient supreme ranked combat weapon had gained sentience. Even if it was forced back by Long Yao's axe, so what if it was injured? Fusion with Tianqi, it had finally stepped into it. Little guy, let me see your true strength. Long Yu knew that when he and the combat weapon were compatible with Tianqi, one of the strongest powers of the combat weapon would begin to manifest. And now, he had reached this level of compatibility with the Nether Void Dragon Blade. Although the spirituality in the Nether Void Dragon Blade had just been born, it was a spirituality born entirely for battle. For battle, it had a demonic instinct. Almost as soon as Long Yu's mind moved, the Nether Void Dragon Blade disappeared from Long Yu's hand. The next moment, the Nether Void Dragon Blade miraculously appeared in front of Long Yao. Even though Long Yao raised the Berserker axe as fast as he could not block this sharp blade. Puff! The Nether Void Dragon Blade directly pierced through Long Yao's arm. Even with the Berserker equipment, his skin was pierced. This was because Long Yao had used his body technique at the critical moment and moved a little to the side. Space penetration. The moment the Nether Void Dragon Blade appeared, Long Yu knew the name of this move. Space penetration. It allowed the Nether Void Dragon Blade to penetrate space and appear in front of the opponent in an instant to kill. Long Yu was delighted in his heart. This kind of method was simply first-rate assassination. If it was used to deal with ordinary combat practitioners, the opponent was likely to be killed by the Nether Void Dragon Blade before they could even enter the state of battle. Forget about resisting. They would not even know how they died. It's a pity that it can't directly penetrate the opponent's body. Otherwise, what kind of expert can I defeat? Long Yu felt a little regretful. It was a pity that the Nether Void Dragon Blade's space penetration could not penetrate the body of any living creature. But if that was the case, it would be too powerful. Wouldn't the control of the space attribute divine text be invincible? Shua! Long Yu held the Nether Void Dragon Blade in his hand and floated above the martial arts practice platform. He raised his head and looked at Long Yao. Long Yao looked at his arm in disbelief. He did not expect that he would be injured by Long Yu again. If he had not reacted quickly, he would have been dead. The Nether Void Dragon Blade space penetration attack was not only sharp, but also contained a penetrating effect. Even the Berserker equipment could not block it. Most importantly, this move did not consume any of Long Yu's power. The Nether Void Dragon Blade contained an extremely rich power of space divine text. He only needed to use a little of it to launch this move. A space-type weapon refining formation was flickering inside the Nether Void Dragon Blade. It was this space-type weapon refining formation that had given the battle weapon the power of spatial divine characters. Furthermore, under the effect of the formation, the battle weapon was constantly absorbing the power of the spatial divine characters in the air, allowing it to recover at a very fast speed. Long Yu roughly calculated that he could cast space penetration 10 times at a time, and then the power of the Nether Void Dragon Blade space weapon refining array would be consumed. However, it would only take an hour for the power of the space divine text to be filled again. With such a method, Long Yu knew that he finally had hope against Long Yao. So what if he was a King Realm expert? Has the compatibility increased? Shu Chan watched Long Yu's move from the side and was slightly surprised. She did not expect Long Yu to have a breakthrough in the battle, but she did not think too much about it. The most important thing now was to defeat Long Yao, the powerful King Realm expert. Chapter 706. As Long Yao was injured again, everyone in the martial arts practice field was shocked. Who was Long Yao? The crown prince of the Dragon Mansion, the top genius of the younger generation, had already stepped into the king's secret territory 2 years ago. But now he was repeatedly injured by someone in the 3 realms of divine power. This was incredible. If someone had said this before the battle, they would definitely be laughed at by everyone. But now, the truth was in front of them. Even if Long Yu and Shu Chan joined forces, they could not defeat Long Yao. The two of them could be proud of themselves for reaching this stage. After all, their opponent was a King's Realm powerhouse. A chaotic battle eventually evolved into a battle between the two of them and Long Yao. No one would have thought that the others in this battle were just foils. They were either swept out by Long Yu and Shu Chan or forced out of the martial arts practice field by Long Yao. Right now, what everyone was most concerned about in this chaotic battle was not the final score, but how far Shu Chan and Long Yu could go in the end. Could they really defeat Long Yao? Ancient Azura Compass. Shu Chan took the opportunity to wave her hand, and the great desolate level mid-ranked combat weapon flew out, condensing countless Azura divine runes and shrouding Long Yao. The Berserker divine runes erupted, and the Berserker axe was waved again. With just a casual swing of the axe, the ancient Azura Compass attack was blocked. Now it's time to end this. Absolute calmness appeared in Long Yao's eyes, and a powerful aura exuded from his body. Since the Berserker armor could be used, he could also use other means, such as the Berserker Fist, Berserker Force. How could a King's Realm powerhouse be an undeserved reputation? Berserker Fist. High-level divine power. A fist condensed from the Berserker divine runes rolled out and rushed towards Shu Chan. Its speed was incredible, and in less than a breath, it was in front of Shu Chan. Berserker Force. This time, Long Yao condensed the Berserker Force into a beam and shrouded Long Yu at an extremely terrifying speed, causing his body to stagnate. Long Yao had already used the Berserker Force before. That time, he shrouded the entire arena with the Berserker Force, but unfortunately, it had no effect on Shu Chan and Long Yu. Now, the Berserker Force that was condensed was not just momentum. The biggest difference between the intermediate divine ability, Berserk Force, and the elementary divine ability was that it already possessed substantial destructive power. The last time, Long Yao did not display the power of an intermediate Berserker, but now he had released it against Long Yu. Almost in an instant, Long Yu's entire body was blasted away by the Berserker divine rune, his clothes in tatters. On the other side, Shu Chan, who was targeted by the Berserker Fist, only had time to display a great desolate level defensive martial technique. Her whole body was blasted away, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. With just one move, Long Yu and Shu Chan, who had no defensive means, were seriously injured at the same time. Indeed, it's almost over. Everyone in the audience felt a little pity when they saw this scene. If Long Yu and Shu Chan were given another 2 years, they would definitely surpass Long Yao. But now, they no longer had the chance. But was that really the case? Attack! Long Yu and Shu Chan did not even look at each other and released their killer moves almost at the same time. Stone of Dreams. Thousands of attribute stones flew out from Shu Chan's body, causing Long Yao to frown. What were these attribute stones? Before he could react, the remaining power in the Dreamscape stone exploded. This was the power of the Dreamscape divine rune from Shu Ruoxian, an Emperor Path secret realm cultivator. At this moment, Long Yao's entire consciousness was pulled into the dream space, and he could not extricate himself. A breath of time. Long Yu knew that he only had a breath of time. The remaining power in the Stone of Dreams could only trap Long Yao for a breath of time. Space penetration. Without any hesitation, Long Yu turned the Nether Void Dragon Blade into a stream of light and attacked. Poof! The dark light flashed, and a stream of blood spurted from Long Yao's neck. Once again, the Berserker armor was pierced by Long Yu. Unfortunately, this blow did not kill Long Yao. The physical strength of a King's Realm exponent was extremely terrifying, even compared to that of Long Yu. Coupled with the obstruction of the Berserker armor, Long Yu's move failed to kill Long Yao. However, it only took half a breath of time for Long Yu to launch this move. Continue one more time. Space penetration. A murderous intent flashed in Long Yu's eyes, and the Nether Void Dragon Blade once again turned into a stream of light, like the breath of the god of death. This time, the target was still Long Yao's neck. However, to Long Yu's surprise, this time his attack did not even break through the opponent's Berserker armor. Instead, it was blocked by a hard object, a great desolate level mid-grade combat weapon that is at least compatible with Tianqi. A jade pendant blocked in front of Long Yao's neck, making Long Yu's Nether Void Dragon Blade unable to move an inch. Long Yao actually had more than one combat weapon. The great desolate level high-grade combat weapon, Berserker's Axe, seemed to have been obtained by this person not long ago. The degree of compatibility was not high, and it did not have self-awareness. Therefore, when Long Yao was dragged into the dream, it was equivalent to a dead object. But the jade pendant that appeared now was different, at least compatible with Tianqi. When Long Yao was facing a life and death crisis, this jade pendant took the initiative to appear. As soon as it appeared, it blocked Long Yu's killing blow, but because of this, a crack appeared on the jade pendant. It was destroyed. Long Yu's attack actually destroyed a great desolate level mid-grade combat weapon. In other words, the power of his attack was already at the King's Path Secret Realm level. Not good. Long Yu's face sank because this attack did not kill Long Yao, which meant that Long Yao would wake up from the dream. If he could not kill him when he lost consciousness, then what about when he woke up? This was dangerous. Long Yu always remembered that Long Yao was a King's Realm expert and had at least 7 magical powers. So far, he had only used 4 of them. Berserker's Ultimacy, Collapse, Berserker's Power, Berserker Armor, Berserker Fist. There were more magical powers that this person used as a trump card. He did not want to use them against 2 people who only had 3 divine realms. But now, not only did Long Yu hurt Long Yao again, but he also shattered his great desolate level mid-grade combat weapon. How could Long Yao tolerate this? Sure enough, when Long Yao's consciousness returned to his body, he immediately felt the broken great desolate level combat weapon jade pendant. After a moment of shock, he was completely furious. You will die a horrible death. Long Yao's eyes were almost spewing fire. He raised his head and looked at Long Yu. Do you know that this is the only thing my mother left me? And now, it has been destroyed by you. You are dead. Long Yao roared, and a burst of violent flames erupted from his body. Flame Divine Text. Dual Attribute Divine Text Fusion. Everyone's eyes lit up. However, Dual Attribute Divine Text Fusion, Long Yao, was such a rare genius. Not only was it compatible with the Berserker Divine Text, but he also comprehended the Flame Divine Text. This was clear to everyone present, and Long Yao's understanding of the Flame Divine Text was obviously deeper than the Berserker Divine Text. However, Long Yao had always used the Fire Attribute Divine Text to deal with opponents in the King's Path Mystic Realm. Who would have thought that he would use it against Long Yu and Shu Quan, who were only in the Divine Powers Mystic Realm? To be able to force Long Yao to this extent, were these two really that strong? Chunyang Mansion lost to Shu Quan. Lingshuet County lost in front of Long Yu. It was not an injustice to lose. Flame burst. The anger in Long Yao's eyes seemed to materialize and exploded at this moment. The place where it appeared was under Long Yu and Shu Chan's feet. Azura butterfly transformation. Shu Chan immediately used her innate magical powers and turned into an illusory Azura butterfly. Then she was completely enveloped by the flames that gushed out from under her feet. After such a long time, her meridians had almost recovered, and she could use the same method as before. Azura butterfly transformation was her defensive method. As for Long Yu, Dragon Sparrow Flash. This move had saved him many times, and now it appeared again. He had long understood Long Yao's various means, and of course, he knew that this person had the Flame Divine text fusion talent. Dragon Sparrow Flash was a defensive method used when a shadow escape could not be used. A pillar of fire erupted from under Long Yu's feet, but between the flames and Long Yu's shadow, there was a layer of space between Long Yu and Long Yu. Long Yao, after all, had not comprehended the space divine text. This flame burst magical powers could not hurt Long Yu at all. Go to hell. But the next moment, Long Yao held the Berserker axe in his hand and chopped down at Long Yu. This axe was not only condensed with the Berserker divine text, but also covered with a layer of flame divine text. This axe strike caused the temperature of the entire martial arts practice stage to rise. Space penetration. With a wave of his hand, Long Yu quickly retreated, and at the same time, the Nether Void Dragon Blade turned into a stream of light and attacked again. Bang! Long Yao's great desolate mid-grade combat weapon Jade Pendant once again blocked in front of the Nether Void Dragon Blade, preventing it from hurting Long Yao, but the area of damage on the circular Jade Pendant became wider. If this happened a few more times, the Jade Pendant would be completely destroyed. Divine Concealment. Long Yu's figure flashed and disappeared from the field again, and the Nether Void Dragon Blade continued to attack Long Yao with space penetration under the control of his newly formed consciousness. Long Yu's figure disappeared. Long Yao was furious, and the axe flew out of his hand, bringing with it a stream of flame, directly towards Shu Chan, who was not far away. Berserker Profound Meaning. Collapse. The Berserker Divine text on Long Yao's body exploded, and the attack range of this move was the entire martial arts arena. It was this move that forced all the contestants except for Shu Chan and Long Yu out of the martial arts arena, and they were eliminated. Now, this move appeared again. In Long Yao's hand, a light ball condensed from Berserker Divine text appeared, and then he crushed it. A terrifying attack that swept through the entire arena appeared again. Shu Chan, who bore the brunt of the attack, not only faced this indiscriminate attack, but also became the target of the Berserker axe. How could she block it? She couldn't block it anymore. Retreat. Shu Chan's mind turned quickly. No matter what, it was unnecessary to be seriously injured or even lose her life on the martial arts arena, so she chose to retreat immediately. Originally, she was not far from the edge of the martial arts arena. At this time, her figure flashed, and she appeared outside the martial arts arena. At the end of the martial arts arena, there was a layer of defensive barrier that was condensed in advance by an Emperor Realm expert, and it could isolate all divine text attacks. Chapter 707. When Shu Chan jumped off the stage, there was no doubt that only Long Yu and Long Yao were left in the arena. Shu Chan, third place, 12 points for Azure Manor. But now, everyone's attention was not on the Azure Manor, but on the battle between Long Yu and Long Yao. The profoundness of Berserker erupted, and the resulting shockwave sent Long Yu flying. Long Yu fell to the ground, smashing a hole in the special material of the martial stage. He didn't die. Everyone saw that Long Yu was actually slowly standing up. At this time, the power of the Berserker esoteric meaning that erupted from Long Yao had gradually dissipated. Obviously, this move did not cause much damage to Long Yu. Death Realm Body Refinement was an immemorial level body refinement martial art. Even if it was only a small success, it allowed Long Yu's current physical strength to be equivalent to a King's Realm expert, or even a little stronger. Long Yao's Berserker erupted. Such a large-scale attack was naturally not as powerful as a single target attack. It's amazing that you're not dead yet, but this is the end. Long Yao knew that Long Yu's physical body was very strong and was not surprised that Long Yu could stand up again. But he clenched the berserker axe in his hand and once again slashed at the injured Long Yu at an extremely fast speed. Only Long Yu was left in the arena. For Long Yao, victory was already decided. What's more, even if Long Yu could still stand up, he must have suffered some injuries. No matter how serious the injuries were, it would still weaken Long Yu's combat power. Flame Berserker Axe. The flame divine runes on the axe burned fiercely, causing the temperature of the entire arena to suddenly rise. A flaming axe aura shrouded the top of Long Yu's head. Could he still withstand it? I can't. The attack of a King's Realm expert was too terrifying. With the Death Realm body refinement, Long Yu could not withstand it all. In that case, I can only... Long Yu's eyes flashed. He raised his hand and suddenly released something. Vines appeared from his hand, exuding a strong aura of Azura divine runes. They instantly protected Long Yu. Not only that, but they also spread out and directly blocked Long Yao's flaming axe aura. Azura Sacred Tree. The Azura Sacred Tree had reappeared. This was the only move that Long Yu could use against Long Yao. Although the Azura Sacred Tree was far from fully recovered, after half a year, it had recovered 1/5 of its power. Originally, Long Yu did not plan to reveal this trump card. However, after thinking about it, if they wanted to deal with him, they could casually investigate and find out that he had the Azura Holy Tree. So, it did not matter if he revealed it. 1/5 of the Sacred Tree's power. How many King Realm powerhouses had the Azura Sacred Tree killed when it was at its peak? Long you had used, Long Chun had not expected. Of course, Long Yu did not intend to exhaust the Azura Holy Tree's power again. So this time, he only planned to use the Azura Holy Tree to assist him. Space penetration, continue. Long Yu waved his hand, and the Nether Void Dragon Blade once again appeared in front of Long Yao's chest. Bang! The Jade Pendant appeared once again, blocking the Nether Void Dragon Blade. It was indeed a mid-ranked Great Desolate Realm combat weapon that was compatible with the Heaven Awakening. It had a terrifying defensive ability. However, under the repeated attacks of the Nether Void Dragon Blade, the cracks on the Jade Pendant were getting bigger and bigger. Perhaps if it was hit twice more, the Jade Pendant would completely shatter. Blocked. Not only did Long Yu block Long Yao's attack, but he also launched another attack. He wanted to completely smash Long Yao's Jade Pendant. What were those vines waving in the sky? They actually trapped Long Yao in it. Even someone as strong as Long Yao could not escape. What the hell is that? Long Yao felt the eerie power of the Azura Sacred Tree vines and could not help but feel a little scared. There were no human faces on these new vines. After all, they had just grown and had not absorbed the power of others. But just the eerie Azura divine text aura that it emitted was enough to make Long Yao tremble in fear. Of course, Long Yao was extremely confident in his own strength. He could not believe that he would be defeated by a mere 3 Dao divine realm Long Yu. Flame, burn. The Berserker's axe ignited with raging flames that swept out in all directions. In an instant, the flames spread to the vines that filled the sky. Under this terrifying power, the vines were all burned to ashes. Unfortunately, the Azura Sacred Tree had too many vines. He had just burned dozens of vines in the field when dozens more extended from Long Yu's hand and completely enveloped Long Yao. Space penetration. The Nether Void Dragon Blade struck again. Kacha! With a crisp sound, the Great Desolate Level Jade Pendant once again blocked the sneak attack of the Nether Void Dragon Blade. But this time, the Jade Pendant was directly shattered by the Nether Void Dragon Blade, turning into fragments that fell to the ground. Shattered. Long Yao's eyes widened as he watched the fragments of the Jade Pendant gradually fall to the ground. The anger in his heart became more and more uncontrollable. This was his mother's relic. He had always regarded it as his most precious treasure, but now it was shattered by a mere divine realm kid. This was unforgivable. Destroy! Long Yao roared, and his whole body erupted with flame divine text. Together with the berserker divine text, it enveloped his whole body, turning him into a complete flame god of war. Berserker armor, flame armor, double armor. He held the berserker axe in his hand, and with a single swing of the axe, the vines of the Azura holy tree that surrounded him were completely incinerated. Dozens of vines were reduced to ashes in midair. Long Yu and Long Yao once again looked at each other. The entire martial arts practice stage was filled with the power of flames and berserker divine text, as well as the remaining power of 9 nether divine text and Azure divine text. Continue. Long Yu did not hesitate and continued to attack. This time, hundreds of vines spread out from his body and directly enveloped Long Yao. At the same time, the nether void dragon blade moved again. Space penetration. Poof! Long Yao's hand, that was holding the battle axe, was directly penetrated by the nether void dragon blade. Long Yao's eyes widened in anger. Ah! Without the protection of the great desolate level combat weapon and the jade pendant, Long Yao had no way to resist this attack from Long Yu. He could only dodge at the critical moment. 3 more times. The nether void dragon blade's space array power allowed it to perform 3 more space penetration. These 3 times were Long Yu's last chance. If he still could not defeat Long Yao, then he could only exhaust the power of the Azura Sacred Tree. Space penetration. Without any pause, the nether void dragon blade struck again, on the spectator's stand, in the direction of the Long Manor. Everyone's heart was in their throats, including Long Yao's father, the Manor Lord of the Long Manor, a super expert of the Emperor realm. Amongst the crowd, a group of young martial cultivators led by Yu Tongfei, who had come from the Azura Manor, watched the battle in silence for a long time. They left the Azura Manor and joined the Long Manor so that the Long Manor could provide them with more resources for cultivation. After all, whether it was the Azura Manor or the Heavenly Mandate Manor, there were no experts. They did not even have an Emperor's Path secret territory. How could they obtain enough resources for cultivation in a place like the North Snow Empire? They thought that joining the Long Manor was the best choice. But now, Long Yu and Shu Chan were in the field. The battle with the Crown Prince of the Long Manor, Long Yao, made them more and more afraid. Shu Chan and Long Yu, these 2 guys actually had such tyrannical strength that they were locked in a battle with Long Yao. Although Long Yao did not want to reveal his trump card, it was shocking enough. Could it be that we made the wrong choice? Behind Yu Tongfei, many of the young martial cultivators from the Azura Manor thought to themselves. But soon, their minds became firm. The choice had been made. What they should think about now was how to use the resources provided by the Long Manor to enhance their own strength, and not regret the choice they made. Moreover, even if Long Yu's combat power was super strong now, so what? Everyone still did not believe that Long Yu could defeat Long Yao. In the field, hundreds of branches of the Azura Sacred Tree once again danced in the sky, suppressing Long Yao's terrifying combat power. However, Long Yu's final killer move was the space penetration of the Nether Dragon Blade. There were only 2 more attacks left. Long Yu held the Nether Dragon Blade in his hand and stood not far from Long Yao, carefully thinking about where to assassinate next. Long Yao could vaguely see Long Yu's figure through the gaps of the branches. He was almost fuming with anger. Long Yu was clearly in front of him, but he could not kill Long Yu. What the hell were these damn vines? Were they Long Yu's weapons? Long Yao was too confident and did not carefully investigate Long Yu's information. Now he could not help but feel a little regretful. If he had known that this kid had some skills, he would have investigated clearly first. But no matter what these vines were, he just needed to keep destroying them. Long Yao began to feel nervous. He knew that his only chance of winning was to kill all these vines before he was assassinated by Long Yu. Otherwise, he might die after another assassination attempt. For Long Yu, the Azura Sacred Tree was only a means of defense. He did not use the Azura Sacred Tree's attack because it consumed too much energy. If he wanted to rely on the Azura Sacred Tree to kill Long Yao, he would at least have to completely exhaust the Azura sacred tree's current power. But if it was only defense, he only needed to use 1/3 of its power, and it would be replenished in 2 months. His killer move was the space penetration. Kill. For the last second attack, Long Yu chose to target Long Yao's chest. The Nether Void Dragon Blade, an ancient rank combat weapon, instantly turned into a black ray of light, instantly piercing through space, and appeared on Long Yao's chest. The tyrannical space penetration ability made Long Yao unable to react in time. At the last moment, when he felt the sneak attack, he subconsciously moved his body a little to the left. Poof! The Nether Void Dragon Blade directly penetrated the Berserker in flame armor, piercing into his chest, but failed to shatter his heart. Flame! Burst! Long Yao raced against time. After dodging the fatal blow, he burst out with flame divine text, once again burning all the vines in the sky. You're dead. Long Yao stared at Long Yu, raised the Berserker axe in his hand, and was about to fall the next moment. Holy tree! Long Yu was not afraid, and hundreds of Azura sacred tree branches appeared again. Shua! Long Yao was once again blocked, and Long Yu's Nether Void Dragon Blade had one last chance to penetrate through space. Chapter 708. Long Yao was in despair. With his strength, he could easily defeat hundreds of vines. However, no matter how many vines he defeated, Long Yu would always have more vines to block in front of him. Long Yu's assassination continued to appear in front of him again and again, and it became more and more difficult to resist. Long Yao began to panic. The last blow. Long Yu's eyes flashed. He had launched the space penetration so many times just now that he had basically figured out Long Yao's dodging habits. Even if Long Yao could react at the moment of the assassination and avoid the vital parts, every time he avoided the vital parts, it was to the left. This was a habit of being human. If Long Yu guessed correctly, Long Yao would still dodge to the left next time. In this case, Long Yu's last space penetration would have a very high hit rate, and it was very likely to assassinate Long Yao in one shot. Space penetration, kill. Long Yu's mind moved, and the Nether Void Dragon Blade instantly turned into a dark stream of light, breaking through the void and appearing in front of Long Yao. Long Yao subconsciously wanted to dodge, but when he dodged, he found that his dodging had exposed his heart to Long Yu's assassination. Long Yao was suddenly scared out of his wits, but now it was too late for him to react. He could only watch as the Nether Void Dragon Blade pierced his chest. Kacha! There was another sound of jade shattering, and the Nether Void Dragon Blade was once again blocked by an unknown object. It's the Heart Protection Jade Talisman. In the martial arts arena, many people heard the crisp sound and could not help but change their expressions. They did not expect Long Yu's strength to be so terrifying that even Long Yao's Heart Protection Jade Talisman was shattered. The Heart Protection Jade Talisman was an extremely luxurious consumable. Each one was worth tens of thousands of Shimbi. It was a special kind of weapon. This kind of disposable weapon was usually integrated into the martial cultivator's heart and would appear at critical moments to replace the heart to withstand a fatal blow against the martial cultivator. If he was not mistaken, Long Yao's body was not only fused with this Heart Protection Jade Talisman, but also other fatal parts of his body. The Heart Protection Jade Talisman would shatter after taking a fatal blow in place of the heart, turning into pure heaven and earth spiritual chi and dissipating. Now, Long Yao's heart finally had no defense. Long Yao's face changed drastically, his eyes filled with endless ferocity. He waved the battle axe in his hand, and the Flame Divine Runes and Berserker Divine Runes roared out again, destroying hundreds of vines in front of him. Long Yu's final attack failed, but his expression didn't change at all. Instead, he revealed a hint of ridicule. Long Yao, a King Realm expert, is only a so-so. After Long Yu said this, he looked at Long Yao contemptuously. With a wave of one hand, hundreds of vines appeared again and blocked in front of him. These pitch-black vines of the Azura holy tree seemed to be endless. No matter how many Long Yao destroyed, more would appear to resist his attack. Looking at the ridicule and contempt in Long Yu's eyes, Long Yao's heart trembled. With such vines, Long Yu is undoubtedly in an invincible position. Continue to fight? Long Yao had already used all his skills. Even if he used his strongest attack, it would still be blocked by the vines. Under such circumstances, what could he use to defeat Long Yu? What's more, counting the time, Long Yu should have been able to release his innate magical powers again since the start of the battle. Once these skills were used, coupled with the sneaky assassination, what could Long Yao use to resist? Even the heart protection jade talisman had been shattered. Long Yao's face showed endless ferocity. His eyes were full of struggle. He did not dare to fight anymore. No one knew when Long Yu's next assassination would appear and whether he would directly stab his heart. I admit defeat. When Long Yao said these 3 words, his whole body seemed to be weak, and his whole imposing manner dissipated completely. Long Yao admitted defeat. The audience was in an uproar. When Long Yu heard these words, he heaved a sigh of relief in his heart. He had originally planned to use the full power of the Azura holy tree if he could not win, but in the end, he still held back and used a psychological tactic first. Sure enough, after seeing Long Yu's ridiculing and contemptuous eyes, Long Yao could not bear the psychological pressure and took the initiative to admit defeat. If he was stabbed in the heart by Long Yu's assassination method, Long Yao would die on the spot. There was no way he could escape. He did not admit defeat before because of the existence of the Heart Protection Jade Talisman. But now, the Heart Protection Jade Talisman was destroyed. Once he died, it would be over. Although it was very embarrassing to admit defeat to a 3 Dao Divine Powers Realm Martial Cultivator on such an occasion. But compared to his life, face was nothing. Save half of the Azura Holy Tree's energy. Long Yu thought in his heart. Once again looked at Long Yao with disdain, turned and walked off the martial arts arena. No matter what, Long Yao lost today, completely lost. Everyone in the Long Mansion was livid. They could not believe that Long Yao would finally admit defeat. But the master of the Long Mansion, Long Yao's father, also understood that under such circumstances, Long Yao really had no other choice. What if he was assassinated and lost his life? That would not be worth it. Unfortunately, no one knew that Long Yu's space penetration could only be used a total of 10 times. If he wanted to use it again, he would have to wait for an hour. And just now, Long Yu's space penetration for the 10th time shattered Long Yao's Heart Protection Jade Talisman. Psychologically, Long Yao lost, completely lost. But many people felt that it was better than losing his life. But they did not know that losing to the 3 Dao Divine Powers Realm Long, you would become a shadow in Long Yao's heart, and he would live under the shadow for the rest of his life. If he could not get rid of this shadow, it would be difficult for him to make progress in martial arts. It was not until Long Yu left the martial arts arena and returned to the side of the people from the heavenly mandate manor in the spectator seats that the entire martial arts arena erupted in heated discussion. Long Yu won. Long Yao lost. This result shocked countless people on the spot, and then they began to discuss fiercely. What were those vines and branches that emerged from Long Yu's body? Finally, there were still people who had heard the rumors from the Tianqin dynasty. The news of the Azura Holy Tree continued to spread. Very quickly, most people knew that what Long Yu was controlling was the Azura Holy Tree. The Azura Sacred Tree, in its complete form, could directly kill a King Realm Cultivator. Now Long Yu was only using it for defense. It was obvious that the Azura Sacred Tree was not in a very good state. In the heavenly mandate manner, everyone cheered. No one thought that Long Yu could really kill the King Realm Cultivator Long Yao. Even though Long Yao only admitted defeat to be able to force Long Yao to this point, Long Yu could be considered to be unprecedented. One must know that Long Yu was only in the 3 Dao Divine Powers realm. It was all achieved by working together with Shu Quan. I can't do it alone. When Long Yu returned to the heavenly mandate manor, he shook his head and said, he was telling the truth. As someone who had once controlled the Azura Sacred Tree and killed several King Realm cultivators, he was still very dissatisfied with his current strength. He could not even deal with an ordinary king realm cultivator alone. There was still a long way to go. The people of the Azure Manor felt it was a pity that Shu Chan left early, but they also knew that in that situation, Shu Chan could only leave first. Otherwise, she would have been killed by Long Yao. But in the end, Long Yao was forced to admit defeat, which made the people of the Azure Manor cheer. Who was Long Yao? The crown prince of the Dragon House. Yu Tongfei and his group of traders sought refuge in the Dragon House in order to get enough cultivation resources. But now, Long Yao, whom they regarded as a genius, actually admitted defeat in front of Long Yu. How exciting was this? Yu Tongfei and his group probably never dreamed that this day would come. On the side of the Dragon House, everyone was sad. Indeed, no one thought that Long Yao would admit defeat to Long Yu. On this day, he became the laughingstock of the Dragon House. However, the Lord of the Dragon House did not punish Long Yao because he loved Long Yao very much. He would rather Long Yao admit defeat than let him die on the martial arts arena. Even a heart-protecting jade talisman was broken. Was he far from death? Fortunately, he admitted defeat in time and saved his life. As for Yu Tongfei and his group, their faces were ashen. Seeing Long Yao leave dejectedly, none of them dared to say a word, for fear of angering the people of the Dragon House and causing trouble. Long Yao did not have the face to continue staying here, so he chose to leave. But before leaving, another young man in the Dragon House said, faintly, "A momentary failure is not terrible. What is terrible is losing the courage to move forward. Long Yao, whoever you lose to now, you must step on that person in the future. This is the path of martial arts for the strong." When Long Yao heard this, he could not help but tremble, and his footsteps to leave also stopped. This person was his brother, and his martial arts talent was far above his own. This sentence enlightened him. Yes, what was a momentary failure? Whose martial arts path was not full of ups and downs and hardships? "Thank you, cousin." Long Yao nodded and left without looking back. If Long Yao became muddle-headed when he admitted defeat to Long Yu, then the current Long Yao was reinvigorated by his cousin's words. His cousin obviously had a good understanding of the path of martial arts. Long Yu? Interesting. The young man looked at the people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor from afar and stared at Long Yu in the center. At this moment, Long Yu also happened to look over. The two of them looked at each other and saw many things from each other's eyes. This person is not simple. Long Yu saw that after the man spoke, Long Yao's spirit was suddenly lifted, and he could not help but frown slightly. The Dragon House, as one of the 4 mansions of the North Snow Empire, belonged to the top forces of the North Snow Empire. Of course, its strength was extraordinary. Long Yao's cousin was called Long Jiang, and his cultivation was in the late stage of the King realm. He was only one step away from breaking through to the Emperor realm. Chapter 709. After defeating Long Yao, the Heavenly Mandate Manor now had a total of 26 points, tied for first place with more than a dozen other strongest forces. 2 rounds had passed, and the Heavenly Mandate Manor was still in first place. Many people who bet on the Heavenly Mandate Manor to be eliminated were now regretting it. No one expected that Long Yu would be able to defeat Long Yao and become the highlight of this grand event in the imperial capital, defeating a king's secret realm with 3 divine realms. Even with the help of Shu Chan, this was enough to be proud of. On the other hand, Long Yu himself did not feel surprised at all. He had defeated many kings' secret realms before. Although he did not rely on his own strength, he was already familiar with the strength of a king's realm cultivator. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. Since Long Yu knew Long Yao's approximate strength, it was impossible for him to lose. He had the Azura Holy Tree as his trump card. The only difference was how much of the Azura Sacred Tree's power he used. This battle made all the forces focus their attention on Long Yu, including the other 3 mansions of the Northern Snow 4 mansions and the 8 manors of the Northern Snow 8 manors. All of them paid some attention to Long Yu. Interesting. In the Silver Fox Manor, the Silver Fox King looked at Long Yu from afar, and a look of interest appeared in his eyes. As the captain of Yu Hanshin's guards, the Silver Fox King had seen countless cultivators and geniuses, but there was no one like Long Yu, who defeated a king's realm cultivator with 3 divine realms. Since that Long Yu can suppress Long Yao like this, he might be able to suppress you too, son. The Silver Fox King's father, a veteran Emperor realm cultivator, said to him with a smile. The Silver Fox King's face was full of arrogance. Long Yao is only at the beginning of the king's realm, and his meridians have not been tempered much. How can he be compared to me? If I were to fight against Long Yu, he would not stand a chance. That's not necessarily true. As an Emperor realm cultivator, the Silver Fox King's father's eyes were naturally much sharper than the Silver Fox King's. Although his son, the Silver Fox King, was stronger than Long Yao, he had yet to step into the middle ranks of the King realm. It would take a long time for him to take that step. Under such circumstances, if the Silver Fox King fought against Long Yu, the outcome would probably be the same. On the other side, Bei Shui's strength was different from Long Yao's. All her skills made her extremely agile and fast, unlike Long Yao, who was clumsy. It would be extremely difficult for Long Yu to use the same method to deal with her. Next up is a 3-man team battle. I really hope I can meet Long Yu's team. White Snow's smile was like a blooming white lotus, stunning everyone nearby Sky Conductor Manor. One of the 4 prefectures of the North Snow Empire, fully deserving of being the #1 force in the North Snow Empire. Of course, it was the #1 force apart from the North Snow Empire that Yu Hanshin belonged to. Jing Tianxing was a genius who had participated in the sub-round of the Divine Martial Emperor Convention 5 years ago. He had made it to the top 10,000 in the Strongest King Realm competition. Today, Jing Tianxing was already in the late stages of the King Realm. He was probably only 1 step away from the Emperor Realm. Long Yu, interesting. This person's talent seems to be no less than mine. Jing Tianxing stood proudly at the front of the Sky Conductor Manor's crowd. He glanced at Long Yu, who was not far away, and said lightly, How is that possible? Big Brother Jing is a genius who made it to the top 10,000 in the Strongest King Realm. How can a mere Long Yu be compared to Big Brother Jing? That's right, he's only at the 3 realms of Divine Power Realm. Big Brother Jing could kill him in 1 move. Only that idiot Long Yao would be suppressed by this person. What a disgrace to the Dragon residents. Behind Jing Tianxing, a group of Sky Conductor Manor's subordinates immediately began to flatter him. Their tone was extremely sincere. It was obvious that they admired Jing Tianxing from the bottom of their hearts. After all, he was a powerful junior who made it to the top 10,000 in the Strongest King Realm competition. The Strongest King Realm competition was held once every 7 years, unlike the Conference of Martial God that was held once every 100 years. The Divine Martial Emperor Convention was a grand gathering of the entire Shenwu world. After each Conference of Martial God, the entire Shenwu world would experience earth-shattering changes. And the Strongest King Realm competition was held by the Alliance of 5 Emperors. It was a sub-round of the Conference of Martial God. It was said that as long as one obtained a good ranking in the Strongest King Realm competition, they would have more say in the Conference of Martial God and obtain many precious resources. Coincidentally, in another 2 years, the Strongest King Realm competition and the Conference of Martial God will be held consecutively in the same year. Whether it was the Strongest King Realm competition or the Conference of Martial God, they were both stages for the entire Shenwu world. To be able to perform in them was a great honor. If his martial arts realm was not 3 paths of divinity, but 7 paths of martial god, perhaps I would take him seriously. But now, his cultivation is still too weak. Jing Tianxing glanced at Long Yu, then looked away. He shook his head and no longer paid attention to him. For him, what happened to Long Yu was just an interlude. After all, the competition between the Conference of Martial God and the Strongest King Realm in 2 years was not for a kid like Long Yu to participate. How could it be so easy to advance from 3 paths of divinity to King Realm? 2 years was definitely not enough. Back then, Jing Tianxing had spent more than 3 years to advance from 3 paths of divinity to Secret King Realm, and that was already a very impressive achievement. Long Yu, impressive. There was a guest at the Heavenly Mandate Manor. It was Mo Zhaiqian, whom they hadn't seen for a long time. This person was wearing a black robe, and his entire body seemed to be illusory. If he did not speak, everyone around him would not be able to help but ignore him. This was Mo Zhaiqian. His ability to hide his aura was extremely terrifying. Even Long Yu's divine concealment was not as good as him. Mo Zhaiqian, congratulations on entering the Secret King Realm. Long Yu looked at Mo Zhaiqian and said with a faint smile. Mo Zhaiqian had entered the Secret King Realm before returning to the Shura Manor. He had become the strongest cultivator in the Shura Manor and was strong enough to protect the Shura Manor. What's there to congratulate? For you, it's just a matter of time. Mo Zhaiqian pulled Long Yu and said excitedly, "You did a good job. You even tricked Long Yao and lost. Impressive, but you have to work hard. There's still 2 years left before the Conference of Martial God. I'm waiting for you to go with me." To participate in the Divine Martial Imperial Convention, one had to go together. This was very important. Mo Zhaiqian had been eyeing Long Yu for a long time. Long Yu was a little puzzled. The gap between him and the Secret King Realm was not small. Although he defeated Long Yao, he had used all his trump cards and was not considered powerful. Mo Zhaiqian had always been thinking about attending the Conference of Martial God with Long Yu. This was what puzzled Long Yu. Why did this guy have to do this? They were not in Shura County anymore, but in the North Snow Empire. In the North Snow Empire, there were many cultivators in the Secret King Realm. If not 1,000, there were at least a few hundred. Why bother with him alone? Could it be that there was some secret behind the Conference of Martial God and Martial God? He would have to ask them about it later, but now, Long Yu would not think too much about it. He was still a long way from entering the Secret King Realm, and it would not be easy for him to enter it within 2 years. If he could not enter the Secret King Realm within 2 years, then the Conference of Martial God would have nothing to do with him. Of course, Long Yu would not miss such an opportunity. As long as it was possible, he would try to enter the King Realm within 2 years. The Royal Capital Conference was only a stepping stone. He wanted to see more Secret King Realm cultivators and feel the power of their inner world so that he could be more familiar with the path to the Secret King Realm. Work hard. After the Royal Capital Conference, I will continue to train outside and try to enter the advanced stage of the King Realm within 2 years. Mo Zhaiqian patted Long Yu's shoulder and encouraged him. I want to fight for the trial of the strongest King Realm. Long Yu nodded. A genius without ambition was not qualified to be called a cultivator. Mo Zhaiqian was talented and naturally wanted to participate in the trial of the strongest King Realm. This was the Secret King Realm of the entire Shunwu world, the best stage to prove himself. To enter the advanced stage from the early stage of the King Realm within 2 years, Mo Zhaiqian's goal was not low. At least, it was no lower than Long Yu's. The difficulty of going from the early stage to the advanced stage was no less than Long Yu's current level of 3 immortal realms. Mo Zhaiqian left, but Long Yu's mind was in turmoil. Becoming stronger was the only goal of cultivation. Since he had so many opportunities, why should he be weaker than others? It was already so difficult to deal with Long Yao. How could he reach the peak of martial arts? The Royal Capital Conference was just a stage, a stepping stone. Through this stepping stone, Long Yu would become even stronger. The second round of the Royal Capital Conference, the 16-person Battle Royale, ended on the second day. Every force had different scores. Among them, only 16 forces had a total of 26 points. Among them was the Heavenly Mandate Manor. The Heavenly Mandate Manor's score was far ahead. But for the next round, the 3-person team battle, no one paid attention to the Heavenly Mandate Manor, because it was not a stage for one person. Even if Long Yu was strong enough to suppress the cultivators of the King Realm, so what? Was there anyone in the Heavenly Mandate Manor strong enough to cooperate with him? No. Chapter 710. 3 days later, the third round of the Imperial Capital Grand Event, the 3-man team battle, was about to begin. Today was the day to go to the North Snow Imperial capital to draw lots. After 3 days, Long Yu replayed the scene of his battle with Long Yao many times and gained a lot of insight from it. There was the understanding of the innate magic power, the understanding of various martial arts techniques, and the degree of compatibility with the Nether Dragon Blade was still growing. However, it was still too early to go further with the Nether Dragon Blade to the level of divine fusion. Ancient Baron Shadow Kill, Transcendent Realm. 3 days allowed Long Yu to consolidate the desolate level martial arts technique, Ancient Baron Shadow Kill, and comprehend it to the Transcendent Realm. He was able to use the essence of this move, Shadow Kill technique. Long Yu could condense the power of the 9 Nether Divine characters in his own shadow, and his shadow, from then on, could kill people unexpectedly. This was an extremely terrifying assassination move. No one would have thought that Long Yu's shadow could actually kill people. If the Ancient Baron Shadow Kill was comprehended to the Transcendent Realm, then the Shadow Kill technique would be upgraded to the Myriad Shadow Kill technique, which could use all shadows to kill people. At that time, this move would be truly terrifying. Of course, now that Long Yu's own shadow could kill people, it was already a good move. At least when it was used for the first time, it could definitely kill a terrifying opponent. If it was used together with the space penetration, it was very likely that even the strong cultivators of the King Realm would be seriously injured. The 4th magical seed has begun to sprout. It seems that as long as there is enough spiritual chi of heaven and earth, I can step into the 4 realms' divine realm. Long Yu thought that after today's draw, the real battle would begin tomorrow. Tonight, he could try to break through to the 4 realms' divine realm and condense the 4th innate magic power. If he could succeed, he would obviously have a greater chance in the team battle. After the draw, Long Yu went alone. As expected, just as Long Yu had predicted, in this round of team battles, Huomei and Qiao Xing, the 2 strongest cultivators in the 6 realms of Divinity Realm in the Heavenly Mandate manner, had to be eliminated. They could not participate in the battles at the same time. Since that was the case, Long Yu was prepared to let Xiao Xing and himself fight. As for the 3rd person, it would be either Man Xin or Qihua. As for who would fight, it would be decided by rock, paper, scissors. Snow Fox Manor, Nightwalker Manor, Qinhuai County. Long Yu went to draw lots and quickly got the results. In the 3rd round of the Imperial Capital Grand Event, the Heavenly Mandate Manor's 3 opponents were Snow Civet Manor, Nightwalker Manor, and Qinhuai County. Among them, the Snow Civet Manor belongs to the North Snow's King Realm powerhouse, and thus he passed on the complete divine rune engravings he comprehended to all his subordinates. Long Yu analyzed today's opponents. That is to say, the martial arts practitioners of Nightwalker Manor who will fight today will all hide their bodies and even condense phantoms and so on. This is quite troublesome. If this is the case, it would be better to derive a kind of probing innate magic power. Long Yu had a lot of offensive methods. As for defensive methods, after he had refined his body in the dead state, he did not need anything else. He even mastered the hand of 9 serenities, soul siphon, and other auxiliary methods to weaken his opponents. There are many types of methods. Chapter 711, North Snow Imperial Capital, Central Martial Arts Arena. 256 forces from the entire North Snow Empire gathered together once again, preparing for the 3rd round of the Imperial Capital Grand Event, the 3-man team battle. Revelation Manor's first opponent, Nightwalker Manor. Long Yu, Qiao Xing, and Man Xin formed a team and prepared to fight. As for why Man Xin and not Qihua, the little fox said that either he and Huomei would fight together or he would give this opportunity to Man Xin. Simply put, if Huomei fought, he would fight, or he would watch the battle with Huomei. Long Yu was a little puzzled by this, but there was nothing much he could say. Man Xin, so be it. In any case, he was only a 2 Daos Transcendent. Even if he went up, he wouldn't be able to do much. Facing 6 Daos and 7 Daos Transcendent experts, it would already be pretty good if Man Xin could last a little while. The first to fight was not Long Yu's team, but Shu Chan's team. and their opponent was one of the North Snow Four Mansions, the Manor of Demons. Due to the miracle that happened when Long Yu fought against Long Yao 3 days ago, everyone paid a lot of attention to Long Yu and Shu Chan. Now that Shu Chan led Dugu Yijian and Fu Xubing into the arena, it naturally attracted the attention of most people. In the entire huge martial arts arena, 16 martial arts arenas were fighting at the same time. However, the arena that Shu Chan was on attracted the most attention. The Manor of Demons sent out 3 experts in the 7 realms of divinity. No one could tell what kind of demonic cultivators they were, but they must be very strong. Otherwise, the Manor of Demons would not be one of the North Snow Four Mansions. It was said that the Manor Master of the Manor of Demons was a bull demon. Most of the members were not descendants of the bull demon, but wandering demonic cultivators that he recruited. Most of the members in the Manor of Demons were talented, wandering demonic cultivators who were adopted by the bull demon when they were young. They grew up and became the backbone of the Manor of Demons. The 3 7 realms demonic cultivators that Shu Chan faced were genius demonic cultivators that were adopted by the bull demon when they were young. It was time to go on stage. Shu Chan, Dugu Yijian, and Fu Xubing got into a battle formation and stood on one side of the arena. On the other side were the 3 geniuses from the demon sect, 2 men and 1 woman. Both sides stood in a stalemate, eyeing each other covetously. The Shura Manor is doomed this time. Although Shu Chan can fight against Long Yao for a long time, she is still alone. I don't believe that the sword cultivator beside her is as powerful as her. That's right, a 4 Daos divine tier and 2 6 Daos divine tier. How are they going to fight against 3 7 Daos divine tier? The sect of demons will most likely win this battle. These 3 are all geniuses among demon cultivators, especially the one in the middle. It is said that he has fought against a king realm cultivator before and lasted for quite a long time. No matter what the crowd said, the battle had finally begun. Long Yu also stared at the arena where Shu Chan was. He wanted to see the overall strength of the younger generation of the sect of demons, one of the 4 manors of the North Snow Prefecture. The 3 young demonic cultivators from the sect of demons were all top-notch talents. One was a tree demon, one was a bird demon, and the last was a cat demon. Their forms and talents were different, and the power of the divine runes they mastered was also vastly different. However, the surprising thing was that these 3 demonic cultivators could coordinate well with each other. From the very beginning, they unleashed an extremely terrifying power that completely suppressed Shu Chan and the other 2. Shu Chan and the other 2 were not to be outdone. With the help of Fu Xubing's divine runes of light, Shu Chan and Dugu Yijian's combat strength was greatly improved. Once the Azura's grip was used, Shu Chan seized the opportunity to control the tree demon. Then, Dugu Yijian launched a fatal attack and directly injured the tree demon. The perfect coordination caused the 3 from the sect of demons to lose one of their members. There were only 2 left. Facing the pincer attack from Shu Chan and Dugu Yijian, there was almost no room for them to retaliate. One had to know that Shu Chan had the ability to deal with a King Realm expert. Facing an opponent with 7 divine runes of light, even if the opponent was a genius who had comprehended a complete set of divine runes of light, they would not be at a disadvantage. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the 3 from the sect of demons were completely annihilated. Among the 3 from the Azura Manor, Shu Chan, Dugu Yijian, and Fu Xubing, Shu Chan was the only one left on the arena. The geniuses from the sect of demons were extraordinary. In the end, they still managed to force Dugu Yijian and Fu Xubing out of the arena, even at the risk of being eliminated. Even though Shu Chan was the only one left, the Azura Manor still managed to obtain the final victory and obtained 10 points. Sect of Demons, 0 points. The crowd was in an uproar. Everyone once again had a more accurate understanding of Shu Chan's strength. This woman truly possessed the strength to fight against a King Realm expert. It will be a piece of cake for her to deal with an opponent with 7 divine runes of light. Since that was the case, the Azura Manor would definitely obtain full points in the 3rd round. In the first 2 rounds, the Azura Manor had obtained 22 points. Adding this round's full points, they would have a total of 52 points. In comparison, even if their opponent, the Sect of Demons, won the next 2 rounds, they would only be able to obtain 20 points. Adding the previous 26 points, they would only have a total of 46 points. It was obvious that after the 3rd round, the Azura Manor would be ahead of most forces in terms of points and would step into the top ranks. As for the Heavenly Mandate Manor, it was needless to say. After Shu Chan left the arena, it was the Heavenly Mandate Manor's turn. Long Yu, Qiao Ziying, and Man Xian stepped onto the stage, facing a 7-Daosh Transcendent Realm expert and 2 6-Daosh Transcendent Realm experts for Nightwalker Manor. Miss Qiao, be careful. Man Zi, just cover me. Long Yu instructed the two. Of course, the two knew that Long Yu would be the main force in this battle, so they nodded. The battle began. The 3 young geniuses in black, tight-fitting clothes from the Nightwalker Manor vanished in an instant, and not a trace of them could be seen in the surroundings. Invisibility. As expected, it was this method. In that case, Long Yu's eyes lit up. He immediately activated the 4th seed in his Dantian. In the next moment, the seed bloomed and finally formed a divine fruit. For Divine Rune's realm. When the 3 people from the Nightwalker Manor disappeared, Long Yu's aura suddenly changed. He had actually stepped into the 4 Divine Runes realm. Innate Divine Runes, Shadow Eye, the Netherworld Divine Runes, Azura Divine Runes, and Death Divine Runes in Long Yu's body almost immediately merged together and formed an eerie pupil on his forehead. A pupil formed by the Shadow Divine Runes. As the Shadow Eye formed, faint Netherworld Divine Runes spread out in all directions, instantly tracking the movements of the 3 people from the Nightwalker Manor. These 3 people had already arrived at Long Yu's side, intending to launch a pincer attack on Long Yu. It was obvious that these 3 people had observed Long Yu's previous battles and knew that the attacks of 6 Divine Runes realm martial artists had almost no effect on Long Yu. If they wanted to win this battle, their only chance was to kill Long Yu in a second. Unfortunately, they didn't know that Long Yu could step into the 4 Divine Runes realm on the spot. Moreover, the innate Divine Runes realm martial artist he comprehended was a probing type. Netherworld Spiral. Long Yu's expression didn't change. He directly used the Divine Chains. A Netherworld Spiral bloomed beneath his feet like a black lotus, instantly spreading outwards. The 3 people from the Nightwalker Manor didn't think that Long Yu would release the Divine Chains beneath their feet. They wanted to retreat, but it was too late, and they were directly trapped within. Space penetration. Puff, puff, puff. The Netherworld Dragon Blade struck 3 times in a short period of time, directly piercing through one of the 3 people's legs. Blood immediately spurted out. This is a warning. Next time, my target won't be your legs. Long Yu said lightly. The 3 people were suddenly shocked and shouted, I admit defeat. This was a method that even Long Yao of the King Realm was afraid of, not to mention the 3 of them. Originally, they didn't have much hope of defeating Long Yu, so it was expected that they would admit defeat now. But they didn't expect that they would lose so quickly. The Heavenly Mandate Manor won the first battle and obtained 10 points. Qiao Ziying and Man Xian were quite puzzled. They didn't expect that they would go on stage and not even make a move. Long Yu scared all 3 opponents into admitting defeat, but made sense. In the face of a terrifying existence like Long Yu, how could a martial practitioner who hadn't stepped into the secret realm of the King Path deal with him? Even Long Yao couldn't hurt Long Yu, let alone others. The battle was over in less than 3 breaths. Then, Long Yu returned to the spectators' stand with the 2 people and waited for the next battle to begin. Everyone in the entire martial arts arena looked at Long Yu with completely different eyes. For Divine Realms, he actually broke through right before the battle. Was this a coincidence? Or was this person doing it on purpose? If it was a coincidence, wasn't it too much of a coincidence? And if it was Long Yu doing it on purpose, this person was too terrifying. He could actually control the time of his breakthrough at will 4 Divine Realms, Eye of Shadow, 3rd level realm. After it was activated, It could detect all the hidden things in the surroundings. If it could be understood as a mid-level divine realm, it might be able to detect some other things. However, the innate divine realm that had just been understood was not so easy to break through to the mid-level divine realm. At least it would take a long time. The first battle of the Heavenly Mandate Manor had ended. The next battle was against the Snow Civet Manor. The Snow Civet Manor's North Snow's power was a divine text of a life divine text, similar to Shu Ruoxian's divine text of the Dream divine text. Long Yu had never encountered illusion magic before. This was a good opportunity to experience it. During the break, Shu Chan took the field again. She led Dugu Yijian and Fu Xubing to sweep the three-man teams of the other two forces and win. They successfully obtained 30 points, allowing the Shura Manor's total points to enter the top 10. And during this time, Long Yu also observed the battle between the Snow Civet Manor and the other forces. Unfortunately, the other party was too weak, and Long Yu couldn't see the fighting style of the three genius beauties from the Snow Civet Manor. Shu Chan could defeat the Demon Herd Manor so easily. If I'm stumped by the people from the Snow Civet Manor, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? Long Yu thought to himself, constantly thinking of countermeasures. Chapter 712. On the 16 stages, dozens of martial cultivators were in high spirits and were ready for battle. Long Yu stood on the middle stage with Qiao Xing and Man Xian behind him. He squinted his eyes as he faced the three genius beauties of the Snow Civet Manor. These three snow raccoon demon cultivators were indeed very beautiful, which gave them a unique advantage in casting illusion techniques. However, it was hard to say if these illusions would be effective against Long Yu. Let the battle begin. As the main referee gave the order, the battles on the 16 stages began at the same time. Dozens of martial cultivators burst out with their powerful strength at the same time and fought with their opponents. However, on the stage that Long Yu was on, he and the three beasts of the Snow Civet Manor didn't make a move for the time being. Why isn't there any movement? They'll make a move first. Long Yu narrowed his eyes and raised his hand. The Netherworld divine text condensed in his hand, and he blasted it at the three beasts. Netherworld Dragon 9 explosions. Vibrating explosion, rapid explosion. The divine runes of the 9 underworlds condensed into a dragon of the 9 underworlds in midair. With a roar, the entire arena was shaken. Strands of divine runes of the 9 underworlds flowed through the air and seeped into the bodies of the three opponents. A great desolate-level martial skill right off the bat. Impressive. The three young female demon cultivators smiled lightly and didn't mind. Their figures turned illusory and actually vanished from the arena just like that. Immediately after, the Netherworld dragon roared and wanted to detonate the Netherworld divine text that had entered the bodies of the three beasts. However, only exploded in the air and didn't attack the three of them at all. What method is this? Long Yu frowned. He didn't expect the other party to disappear right in front of him. Even the Netherworld Dragon 9 explosions couldn't hit them. Eye of Shadow. The pupils on Long Yu's forehead reappeared once again. He looked around in all directions, but to his surprise, he didn't see anyone. Instead, what are you guys doing? Long Yu frowned. Qiao Xing and Man Xian actually attacked him at the same time. Had he fallen into an illusion? Long Yu's heart clenched. If this was an illusion, then the Qiao Xing and Man Xian before him were fake. In order to break out of the illusion, he only needed to defeat the two of them. But what if it was an illusion? Long Yu was unable to find the three people from the Snow Civet Manor, and when faced with Qiao Xing and Man Xian's attacks, he could only immediately jump backwards and temporarily avoid their attacks. Troublesome, too troublesome. This kind of battle made Long Yu quite puzzled. How could he fight when he couldn't even find his opponent? Only Qiao Xing and Man Xian were attacking him incessantly. Water purification. At that moment, Qiao Xing suddenly raised her hand, and the power of the water divine characters condensed into a beam, which she released into the air. The purification of water? Long Yu's heart skipped a beat. This was an innate divine ability that could remove negative effects. Why did Xiao Ziying release it into the air? Could it be that she was hallucinating and saw her teammates in the empty space? Was it him? Long Yu pondered for a moment and made a hypothesis. Could it be that what he saw wasn't an illusion, but Xiao Ziying and Man Xin were affected by it? Thus, the two of them treated him as an opponent, and Xiao Ziying released the purification of water towards the empty space. Didn't that mean that Xiao Ziying thought that he was in that direction and that he was suffering from some sort of condition? Spatial penetration. Without any hesitation, Long Yu dodged Xiao Ziying and Man Xion's attacks while releasing the Nether Dragon Blade towards the place where Xiao Ziying released the purification of water. A wisp of blood drifted out, and then a snow-white figure appeared. A snow civet. As expected, with a thought, Long Yu mercilessly executed the innate divine abilities: Soul, Seal, Siphon, Hand of the Nine Nether. Finally, Dragon Breath of the Nine Nether. Long Yu's entire body emitted a dense aura as he opened his mouth and spat out a terrifying dragon breath that surged towards a snow civet that appeared. The three innate divine abilities appeared at the same time, which immediately startled the snow civet. It immediately transformed into several doppelgangers that scattered in all directions. Which one is the real one? Long Yu's heart trembled, but he found that he couldn't find the real one at all. His three innate divine abilities directly destroyed several of the doppelgangers. More doppelgangers of the snow civet fled in all directions, as if they were mocking him. This kind of illusory doppelganger was really annoying. It's the snow civet illusory matrix. It actually made Long Yu helpless, as expected of the genius of the snow civet manner. The snow civet illusory matrix requires 3 people to work together to execute. Not only can it stimulate the opponent, but it can also confuse the opponent's perception. Under the snow civet illusory matrix, the 3 people from the heavenly mandate manner can't distinguish between friend and foe. I'm afraid they will soon be eliminated. This round, the snow civet manner is going to win. In the spectator seats, many people were talking about it. They could all see that the situation of Long Yu, Xiao Ziying, and Man Xian was not good. However, Long Yu still had a way to deal with it. With a thought, 4 desolate ancient shadows appeared in an instant and attacked the doppelgangers at the same time. The 4 desolate Dragonine explosions were directly used by the 4 desolate ancient shadows. Although the power was only 80% of what Long Yu could do, it was more than enough to destroy the doppelgangers of the snow civet. Then, the 9 underworld light. The desolate ancient shadows used this desolate level martial technique. The power of the pitch-black 9 underworld divine characters instantly enveloped the entire martial arts arena. At this moment, no one knew what happened on the martial arts arena. Do it! Long Yu ignored Xiao Ziying and Man Xian. In fact, the moment the 9 underworld light appeared, the two immediately stopped all actions. They knew that this was Long Yu's move, so they didn't want to disturb Long Yu. Both of them were affected by the snow civet's illusion and didn't know where Long Yu was. No, this 9 underworld light is too harmful to me. Xiao Zing wanted to find an opportunity to help Long Yu on the martial arts arena, but she found that the 9 underworld light was attacking indiscriminately, constantly trying to invade her body. I admit defeat. Xiao Zing could only say so. She didn't want to cause trouble for Long Yu, so she chose to admit defeat. She believed that even if it was only Long Yu alone, he would be able to defeat all 3 of them. When Man Xian heard Xiao Zing's voice, he immediately admitted defeat and left the martial arts arena. In order to make Xiao Ziying and Man Xian hallucinate, the 3 snow civet demonic cultivators consumed a lot of the power of the divine characters. They even set up the snow civet illusion array. By consuming the opponent's divine characters, Xiao Ziying and Man Xian had made some contributions to the battle. The 9 underworld light spread across the entire arena. When he heard that Man Xian and Xiao Ziying had admitted defeat, Long Yu's attack was fully unleashed. Previously, he didn't dare to go all out because he was worried about Xiao Ziying and Man Xian. But now, he didn't have any worries. Kill. Soul absorption. Soul explosion. Long Yu held the void nether dragon blade in his hand and launched an attack in a certain direction. Instantly, his soul imprint exploded, producing a terrifying force that spread out towards the martial arts arena. The 3 snow civets were trapped in the 9 underworld light and were constantly being corroded by it. No matter how many illusory techniques they had, it was useless. Although Long Yu didn't know where they were, a casual soul explosion covered almost half of the martial arts arena and directly sent one of the snow civet flying. After stepping into the 4 transcendent realm, Long Yu's basic strength was more than 2 times stronger than before. It was much easier to deal with 7 transcendent realm martial cultivators. Since he couldn't find the opponent, he would first force Qiao Xing and Man Xin to admit defeat. When there was only one opponent left, he would launch an indiscriminate attack. This was Long Yu's plan. "I admit defeat." A delicate female voice was heard. Immediately after, a snow civet jumped out of the martial arts arena. This snow civet had suffered a soul explosion from Long Yu and was heavily injured. It could no longer continue fighting. If it forced itself to stay on the martial arts arena, only death would await it. The snow civet illusion array had one less person, and the array core was missing. Just like that, the other 2 snow civets were exposed to Long Yu's shadow eye. It's about time. Spatial penetration. Without any hesitation, Long Yu attacked the other 2 snow civets. Pooh! Pooh! After 2 sounds, the spatial penetration directly left a bloody mark on the thighs of the 2 snow civet demon cultivators. However, immediately after, the 2 snow civets split into 10 again. More than 20 snow civet clones appeared on the field. Nether Dragon 9 explosions. Evil Thought explosion. Long Yu raised his hand, and the power of the Netherworld divine characters swept out once again. Following a resounding dragon roar, the evil thoughts hidden in the hearts of the 2 snow civets immediately became restless. Spatial penetration. The Nether Dragon blade followed the restless evil thoughts and directly launched an attack. Once again, it pierced through the arm of one of the snow civet, causing blood to spray out. "I admit defeat." The snow civet couldn't imagine how Long Yu found a real body. Her face turned pale, and she directly admitted defeat. When the snow civet illusion array was broken, she already knew the outcome of the battle. However, she still wanted to give it a try. She didn't expect Long Yu to injure her in one move. If it wasn't for Long Yu showing mercy, she might have already lost her soul. There was only one snow civet left. This snow civet was completely enveloped by the 9 nether heavenly light. Her eyes were filled with helplessness. In the end, she turned back into her human form and spat out 2 words: "Admit defeat." Admit defeat. The 3 illusion experts of the Snow Civet Manor were directly defeated by Long Yu with brute force. However, this was also because they were in a narrow place like the martial arts stage. If it was in the wild, Long Yu probably wouldn't have a good chance. After all, the other party could run if they couldn't win, but could he catch up? But on the martial arts stage, Long Yu turned the entire martial arts stage into his attack range, leaving the other party nowhere to escape unless they admitted defeat. I didn't expect the evil thought explosion to be used like this. Long Yu wasn't immersed in the joy of defeating his opponent. Instead, he discovered a new continent. The evil thought explosion of the Nether Dragon 9 explosions spread out the power of the Netherworld divine characters, stirring up the evil thoughts in the hearts of any cultivator that it came into contact with. With this method, Long Yu could easily distinguish between the real and fake doppelgangers. After all, the doppelgangers didn't have any evil thoughts in their hearts. In fact, he could use this method to find the invisible opponent. It seemed to be more effective than the shadow eye. Of course, the range of the evil thought explosion was much closer than the shadow eye. After Long Yu's shadow eye was cast, he could observe the invisible opponent within a range of thousands of feet. However, the range of the evil thought explosion was only a short 100 feet. This was the gap between the two. However, today's battle allowed Long Yu to have a deeper understanding of his own martial arts. Chapter 713. When the three from the Snow Civet Manor admitted defeat, it meant that the Mandate Manor won again and got 10 points. Impressive. In the spectator stands of the Snow Civet Manor, a charming young girl looked at Long Yu. The corners of her mouth curled up, and she seemed to be interested. She was the genius, demonic cultivator of the Snow Civet Manor, Bai Shui, of the secret plane of the King Path. She was very clear about how strong the three people from the Snow Civet Manor were. Even if they were to face the other opponents from a Northern Snow 8 Manor or the Northern Snow 4 Mansions, they would still have a great chance of winning. But now, even with the Snow Civet illusory matrix, they still lost to Long Yu. There was no doubt that Long Yu was the leader of this battle. Xiao Ziying and Man Xian were just bystanders. This made Bai Shui even more aware of Long Yu's strength. In the fourth round, I'll have a good fight with you. The rules of the fourth round of the Imperial Capital Grand Tournament had not been announced yet, so young geniuses like Bai Shui did not know. But as long as there was a chance, she would not let go of any chance to fight with Long Yu. There were many others who had the same idea as Bai Shui. Of the 8 Northern Snow villages and 4 mansions, except for Long Yao of the Dragon House, who had already lost to Long Yu, the other 11 king-level cultivators had all noticed Long Yu, the Dark Horse. As long as they defeated Long Yu in the fourth round, it would be equivalent to defeating Long Yao. This was a great opportunity to attack the Dragon House. As for what others thought, Long Yu was not too interested. He had just comprehended the new usage of the evil thought blast from the previous battle and was now digesting it. Soon, Long Yu woke up from his state of comprehension. Next, the Mandate Manor would face their last opponent, Qinhuai County. Qinhuai County sent 3 geniuses of the 6 realms. This battle should not be difficult. Long Yu said, "Hee, we even defeated 3 in the 7 realms. Do we need to be afraid of 3 in the 6 realms?" Man Xian chuckled. "Don't be careless. If the opponent is really weak, you and Miss Xiao can attack more and train yourselves. I'll hold the line for you." Long Yu smiled and said, I'll go." Man Xian was dumbfounded. "I can only take on one at most, and I may not even be able to defeat it. It's fine as long as you work hard. It'll be even better if you can comprehend something in battle." Long Yu said casually. Man Xian wasn't afraid. According to his personality, what could make him afraid? What he was worried about was that he would lose face for Long Yu. Since Long Yu didn't mind, then Man Xian had nothing to worry about. However, to everyone's surprise, when Qinhuai County faced the Heavenly Mandate Manor, they forfeited before the battle even started. Obviously, he was afraid of Long Yu's strength and didn't even have the courage to go up and fight. Everyone in the Heavenly Mandate Manor was speechless. In the beginning, everyone thought that the Heavenly Mandate Manor was one of the weakest forces. But now, Qinhuai County actually surrendered without a fight. It was really sad. So far, the Heavenly Mandate Manor had won all 3 battles and obtained 30 points. They had a total score of 56 points, tied for first place with some other powerful forces. After a whole day, the 3-man team battles of 256 forces ended. There were many forces that obtained 30 points. But when the points from the first 2 rounds were added, there were only 8 forces that had the same score as the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Other than the Heavenly Mandate Manor, without exception, all the other forces were one of the 4 manors of the Northern Snow 8 villages. Even the Shura Manor, because Shuchan only obtained 12 points in the second round, had a total score of 52 points and was ranked behind. After the 3rd round of team battles, Yu Hanxin finally appeared again. She announced the points of the various forces and was ready to announce the rules of the 4th round of the Imperial Capital Grand Event. According to the usual practice, there were 5 rounds of the Imperial Capital Grand Event every year. The 5th round was an individual competition between the top 10 forces. This would almost never change. The rules of the first 4 rounds were different every year. So far, the top 100 forces are qualified to advance to the 4th round of the competition. Yu Hanxin's first sentence put many forces in the Cold Palace. Only the top 100 were qualified to advance to the 4th round of the competition. Long Yu paid attention to Ruoshui County and found that Ruoshui County had not entered the top 100. They were regrettably eliminated and were not qualified to participate in the fourth round of the competition. The fourth round of the competition will be held in a special place. One of my master's battle weapons has an illusory world. That is where you will go next. Yu Hanxin's words set off a storm in the field again. Her master's battle weapon, an illusory world. This was not surprising. What was really shocking was that Yu Hanxin had actually become a disciple. How strong was Yu Hanxin, who had become a disciple of one of the 5 emperors? No one knew. Perhaps even the surrounding kingdoms would not dare to target Yu Hanxin. Her identity was too honorable. Even if it was a powerful kingdom, if they offended the alliance of 5 emperors, they would still end up being annihilated. In the illusory world, death is not a real death. However, once you die in there, you will lose the right to continue fighting. Yu Hanxin said in a calm tone. Each force can choose 5 people to participate in the competition. In the illusory world, my master has placed quite a number of jade scrolls, which contain the cultivation methods of many desolate level martial skills, as well as the refining methods of desolate level pills, and the refining methods of desolate level combat weapons. You will be able to get the corresponding points if you obtain the corresponding treasures. The illusory world will be open for 3 days. Desolate level martial skills. Desolate level pills. Desolate level combat weapons. As soon as Yu Hanxin's words were spoken, the entire crowd was in an uproar. One should know that the illusory world was created by Yu Hanxin's master, one of the 5 emperors. Those jade scrolls were also placed by one of the 5 emperors. Any one of those jade scrolls would be a great harvest for any force. Great desolate level pills formula. Once they obtained it, they would be able to continuously refine desolate level pills, which would greatly increase the force's strength. Refining methods of desolate level combat weapons. To a great force, being able to refine desolate level combat weapons was one of the key factors that affected the force's strength. Desolate level combat weapons were the most important strategic reserves of a great force. As for desolate level martial skills, there is no need to mention them. Among all the forces in the North Snow Empire, there were less than 10 desolate level martial skills. If a desolate level martial skill was cultivated to perfection, it would be more powerful than a mid-grade divine ability. To any martial cultivator, once they obtained it, it would greatly increase their fighting strength. So many treasures were placed in the illusory world created by an Emperor Realm expert, waiting for them to discover and fight for them. Was this the benefit of being a disciple of one of the 5 emperors? It was foreseeable that after this event, the overall strength of the North Snow Empire would greatly increase. As for how much the forces could improve, it would depend on the strength of their younger generation. The competition in the illusory world would be extremely intense. Who wouldn't want to obtain more desolate level pills, refining methods of combat weapons, and even the cultivation methods of desolate level martial skills? These are the foundations for a force to develop. In an instant, everyone in the huge martial arts arena cheered and started discussing fervently. Especially those forces in the top 100, they were extremely excited. Only those forces that didn't enter the top 100 were in a bad mood. They knew that Yu Hanxin had probably given up on them. If they couldn't obtain anything from this competition, wouldn't their future development be even more behind the other forces? As for the forces that aren't in the top 100, you don't have to worry. Your next round will be held in another illusory world. Yu Hanxin changed the topic and said with a smile, even if we want to improve our strength, it's the entire North Snow Empire that will improve together, so that we can work hard to become an empire in the future. Don't worry, the number of jade slips placed in the 2 illusory worlds are exactly the same. Even the environment of the illusory world is exactly the same. However, you don't have to compete with the experts in the top 100. As soon as these words were spoken, the forces that were ranked below the top 100 instantly rejoiced. Their previous gloominess was swept away. Was kindness. Yu Hanxin thought, this is called kindness. Anyway, the jade slips that were placed in the illusory world recorded information, not consumable items. Why couldn't they be divided into 2 illusory worlds? Even if they created another 10 illusory worlds, it wouldn't be a loss for Yu Hanxin and her Emperor Realmmaster. This was completely to strengthen the strength of the entire North Snow Empire. According to Yu Hanxin's words, it was to prepare for becoming an empire in the future. The North Snow Empire was about to usher in an unprecedented transformation. The 4th round of the competition will begin in 3 days. At that time, my master will also come. In these 3 days, everyone should prepare well. After saying this, Yu Hanxin smiled and turned to leave. She left behind the members of the various forces that were extremely excited. Regardless of whether it was the ordinary forces of the county government or existences like the North Snow 8 villages and 4 prefectures, all of them were extremely happy. A chance to improve, a chance to become stronger. Now, it was right in front of them. All of this was brought to them by Yu Hanxin. And as Yu Hanxin officially became the disciple of one of the 5 emperors, the benefits that she brought to the North Snow Empire were definitely not limited to this. This was why Yu Hanxin had such high prestige in the North Snow Empire. Because with Yu Hanxin, the entire North Snow Empire could become stronger. 3 days later, the real competition would begin. And before that, all the forces faced a problem, choosing the candidates to participate in the competition. 5 candidates were not difficult for the heavenly mandate manner. Long Yu, Xiao Zing, Man Xian, and Chihua were enough. Obviously, Xiao Zing did not expect that she would have such an opportunity when she came to participate in the Imperial Capital's grand event. Desolation level elixir, battle weapon. Chapter 714. The detailed rules of the 4th round were soon sent to the leaders of all forces. In the central hall of the Heavenly Mandate Manor, Hong Yu glanced at the jade scroll in her hand and said to Long Yu, "This will be the last Imperial Capital Grand Meeting of the North Snow Dynasty, because Yu Hanxin is about to break through to the Imperial Realm. At that time, the North Snow Dynasty will become the Northern Snow Empire. Correspondingly, the North Snow Imperial Capital will become the Imperial Capital. At that time, the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting will be over. In addition, this Imperial Capital Grand Meeting is over. Although the following competition for resources is called the 4th round of the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting. In fact, it has nothing to do with the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting. That is to say, the points of the following competition for resources will be calculated separately. The points of the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting will end here." Hong Yu looked up with joy and said to Long Yu, "That is to say, Master Long, you can now take back your bet in the casino." Long Yu had placed bets in various gambling houses, betting that the Heavenly Mandate Manor could enter the top 100. He didn't expect that the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting would end just like that. The points of the 4th round would be calculated separately, and it was no longer within the scope of the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting. In other words, all bets on the Imperial Capital Grand Meeting had ended. Long Yu had placed his bets at that time, and now it was time to reap the rewards. That's not bad, but there's no hurry. First, were the specific rules of the competition for resources. Long Yu waved his hand. He wasn't very anxious about the divine coins. After all, the divine coins didn't mean that his strength had increased, but it provided enough resources for the development of the Heavenly Mandate Manor. And these resources were of little use to Long Yu himself. In the illusory realm, the low-grade recipe of Grand Desolation level is worth 1 point. The medium-grade recipe of Grand Desolation level is worth 10 points. The superior-grade recipe of Grand Desolation level is worth 100 points. Hong Yu glanced at the contents of the Jade Scroll and said to the crowd, "The mold of low-grade Grand Desolation level is worth 10 points. The mold of middle-grade Grand Desolation level is worth 100 points. The mold of superior-grade Grand Desolation level is worth 1,000 points. Other than that, the Great Desolate low-grade Martial Skill Jade Slips are worth 100 points. The Great Desolate mid-grade Martial Skill Jade Slips are worth 1,000 points, and the great desolate high-grade martial skill jade slips are the centerpiece of the entire illusory world, worth 10,000 points. Yu Hanshin's master will give out a mysterious reward according to the total number of points obtained by each force. The higher the number of points, the greater the reward. In the illusory world, every jade slip will be protected by a beast of corresponding strength. If you want to obtain the jade slip, you must defeat the beast, and various forces can compete for it. The rules of the competition for resources were basically clear. Simply put, this was a battle to kill monsters and seize treasures. At the same time, there would also be cooperation and competition between the various forces. The Jade Slip clearly stated that for resources worth 100 points, the Guardians would be 7 beasts at the peak of 7 Daos Realm. For resources worth 1,000 points, the Guardian would be a King Realm beast. And for resources worth 10,000 points, there was only one in the entire illusory world. It recorded the cultivation method of the great desolate high-grade martial skill, and the Guardian would be 3 King Realm beasts. Between the various forces, only by cooperating could they obtain the final reward. Otherwise, it was highly possible that no force would be able to obtain the cultivation jade slip of the great desolate high-grade martial skill. Among the top 100, I'm afraid the Azura Manor is our only ally. As for enemies, there are quite a number of forces, such as Skyfire County, Lingshui County, and even Long Manor and Snow Civet Manor. Their points are all in the top 100, and they will compete with us in the same illusory world. Hong Yu said worriedly, "Don't worry, we'll deal with it when the time comes." Long Yu wasn't worried at all. Although he didn't know what kind of existence the illusory world was, he knew that even if he died in it, he would only lose the qualification to continue competing. He wouldn't really die. Of course, he hoped to fight for more things. Most importantly, in a battle of life and death, it was the easiest way to break through the bottleneck of martial arts. Zi Ying, Mei Manzi, Xiaohua, let's go together and make good use of this opportunity. Long Yu looked around and said to the 4 people, "Don't worry, Brother Long. I'll definitely do my best. That great desolate high-grade martial skill will be ours." Man Exine grinned and said confidently. Hearing that, everyone was immediately embarrassed. Great desolate high-grade martial skill, that was the most precious resource guarded by 3 King Realm beasts. Countless forces would want to obtain it, and the competition would be extremely fierce. Man Xin was full of confidence, but the others didn't have much hope for the great desolate high-grade martial skill. Apart from Man Xin, perhaps only Long Yu was interested in the great desolate high-grade martial skill. In the Heavenly Mandate Manor and the Shura Mansion, there were several great desolate high-grade martial skills, but they were all low-grade martial skills obtained from the Devil's Treasure Vault. Only Long Yu was interested in the great desolate high-grade martial skill. Together with the great desolate low-grade martial skill jade slips, there were many elixir recipes of the great desolate low-grade, which were also obtained from the Devil's Treasure Vault. Hong Yu had already distributed the elixir recipes to the people in the Alchemy Hall. Unfortunately, no one in the Alchemy Hall had reached the Mystery Secret Realm, so they couldn't refine the great desolate low-grade elixir. Many martial arts cultivators in the Mystery Secret Realm had already begun to cultivate the great desolate low-grade martial skill, but it wouldn't have any effect in a short period of time. As for Chi Hua and Man Xin, they each had their own path of martial arts and didn't need the great desolate low-grade martial skill. Just like Long Yu, wouldn't it be a waste of time for him to cultivate the great desolate low-grade martial skill? He had even comprehended the ancient martial skill, the 9 Secluded Light. He didn't even have enough time to cultivate the 9 Secluded Light, let alone to comprehend the great desolate low-grade martial skill. No matter how many elixir recipes and combat weapon molds we can get this time, it will improve the strength of our manor a lot. Especially if we get the great desolate low-grade martial skill, it will further enhance our overall strength. Long Yu continued, "Everyone, get ready, I'll go out first." Everyone dispersed and began to prepare for the battle of resources that would take place in 3 days. As for Long Yu, He was now heading to the North Snow Imperial City to collect his winnings from the major gambling houses. North Snow Imperial City, Hidden Dragon Gambling House. This gambling house was the secret property of the Dragon Mansion, and almost everyone knew about it. In order to deal a blow to the arrogant crown prince of the Dragon Mansion, Long Yu placed a bet of 3,000 Shunbi in this gambling house. Long Yu had used his real identity to place the bets in the casino. He wanted to rid himself of suspicion. His appearance in the Hidden Dragon Gambling House immediately attracted the attention of everyone around. After a period of time in the imperial capital, Long Yu's reputation rose, even surpassing that of the crown prince of the Dragon Mansion. Countless martial arts practitioners of the North Snow Empire knew that a person like Long Yu, with his cultivation of 3 divine realms, had actually forced the crown prince of the Dragon Mansion to admit defeat. This was unprecedented in the North Snow Empire. When Long Yu appeared in the Hidden Dragon Gambling House, everyone knew what he was here for. He wanted money. Long Yu had placed bets in the major gambling houses, betting that the Heavenly Mandate Manor would enter the top 100. Now that the results were out, it was time to collect the money. For the sake of their reputation, the major gambling houses would not go back on their word. What everyone was curious about was that the Hidden Dragon Gambling House was the property of the Dragon Mansion, and Long Yu had humiliated the Dragon Mansion at the imperial capital. Would the Hidden Dragon Gambling House make things difficult for Long Yu? Suddenly, a group of people followed Long Yu into the Hidden Dragon Gambling House. The housekeeper of the gambling house immediately ran over. When he saw Long Yu, his expression changed slightly, but he still said politely, "Little brother Long Yu, may I ask why you are here? Are you asking the obvious?" Long Yu narrowed his eyes, stood still, and looked at the housekeeper. "I dare not." How could the housekeeper not know that Long Yu was now the target of many forces' attention? Even when he forced Long Yao to admit defeat, even Yu Hanxin looked at Long Yu in a new light. Under such circumstances, of course, this person did not dare to disrespect Long Yu. However, this did not prevent the Dragon Mansion from causing trouble for Long Yu through this housekeeper. The imperial capital's grand event is not over yet. Although it is divided into points for the grand event and point for the fight for resources, if you want to win the bet, you must let the Heavenly Mandate Manor get into the top 100 in the fight for resources, the casino housekeeper said. The fight for resources. Long Yu's expression suddenly turned cold, and he snorted softly. The fight for resources can only be participated in by the top 100. Isn't my Heavenly Mandate Manor in the top 100? Of course. He knew that the other party was going to renege on the bet. That's only for your battle. The casino housekeeper immediately said, there are a total of 2 illusory realms, and more than 200 forces will participate. Therefore, your Heavenly Mandate Manor must be in the top 100 out of more than 200 forces in order to be considered. Shut up. Long Yu interrupted him directly. According to what you said, the bet for the Imperial Capital's grand event is not over yet. However, I heard that your Hidden Dragon Gambling House has already given out a lot of bets related to the Imperial Capital's grand event. You can give out the bets of others, but why can't I give them out? Long Yu took a step forward calmly, but the aggressiveness in his words still made the casino housekeeper break out in a cold sweat. This Long Yu was not easy to deal with. Recalling the instructions given to him by the Long Manor, the steward gritted his teeth and said, our Hidden Dragon Gambling House doesn't have that many Shunbi right now. According to the odds of 114, since you've bet 3,000 Shunbi at our gambling house, we'll have to pay you 42,000 Shunbi. However, our gambling house doesn't have that much cash. Can you give us a few more days? Was he just trying to buy time? Long Yu narrowed his eyes slightly. The Hidden Dragon Gambling House does not even have 40,000 divine coins. What kind of gambling house are you running? They should just close their doors and go home. If I can't get the divine coins today, I will directly ask Lady Yu Hanxin to come here and let her judge whether your gambling house still needs to continue operating. His words immediately made the casino housekeeper panic. Please wait for a moment. I will go back and ask the boss of our casino. The housekeeper ran away quickly, leaving behind a large group of martial arts cultivators who were watching the show and laughing loudly. Many people immediately expressed that if the Hidden Dragon gambling house really couldn't even take out Long Yu's gambling money, they wouldn't be able to bet at the Hidden Dragon gambling house in the future, lest they couldn't even earn back their gambling money. Chapter 715. Since Long Yu's words involve Yu Hanxin, it wasn't something a mere casino steward could handle. Very quickly, the steward ran out again with a face full of cold sweat. "My apologies, little brother Long Yu. Our casino urgently transferred some funds from other places. 42,000 Shinbi. I'll give it to you immediately." Long Yu nodded and didn't say anything else. Admittedly, he was using Yu Hanxin's name to do things, but in reality, Yu Hanxin wouldn't bother with his business. Of course, others didn't know that he and Yu Hanxin didn't have a close relationship. In any case, once Yu Hanxin's name came out, the matter was solved perfectly. For some reason, Long Yu had a feeling that he was facing a crisis. The casino under the name of the Long Manor shouldn't have defaulted on his gambling money for no reason. Long Yu couldn't figure it out, so he didn't think too much about it. With his current strength, even an Emperor Realm expert might not be able to kill him. He could just hide in the Azura Ancient Palace. There shouldn't be any other Emperor Realm experts running amok in Yu Hanxin's territory, right? After receiving the gambling money from the Hidden Dragon Casino, Long Yu went to other casinos to collect money. Each casino had different payout rates for the same event. Long Yu went to 8 casinos and received a total of 220,000 Shinbi, all of which were his gambling winnings. 220,000 Shinbi. What kind of concept was that? In other words, Long Yu's current wealth was even greater than Prince Yunwan's. He could even buy 2 manors or manors in the North Snow Empire with it. Even if he was eliminated, he would only need 100,000 Shinbi to buy the manors back. It wasn't hard to imagine the value of 220,000 Shinbi. Shinbi was the currency used in the entire Shenwu world. Even outside of the North Snow Empire, it was still used. Long Yu became a true tycoon. Moreover, he was able to spend money openly. He didn't need to be as careful as before, fearing that he would reveal himself to the people of the Cloud Empire. If converted to Northern Snow dollars, these 220,000 Shinbi were equivalent to 1.8 billion Northern Snow dollars. Without a doubt, this was a huge sum of money. If it was given to an ordinary martial cultivator in the secret realm of divinity, they probably wouldn't be able to spend it all in their lifetime. Countless people would be jealous and envious if they knew about this. However, who would have thought that the Heavenly Mandate Manor would be so powerful when the bet was set up before the grand event in the Imperial capital? They actually made it into the top 100? Perhaps even Long Yu himself didn't expect this. There was also an event with even higher odds. The odds were more than 1 to 30, betting on whether the Heavenly Mandate Manor could enter the top 10. Long Yu didn't even bet on it. It was clear that Long Yu didn't have much confidence that the Heavenly Mandate Manor could enter the top 10. As for the Heavenly Mandate Manor winning first place, there wasn't a single gambling house that had set up such a gambling house, because it seemed impossible at that time. Long Yu indeed didn't expect the Heavenly Mandate Manor to win. After all, there were many variables in the competition. Not to mention other things, just the drawing of lots had many coincidences. Entering the top 100 was a goal that Long Yu knew he could definitely achieve, so he directly bet on this event. Long Yu didn't regret it. Human greed was the most terrifying thing. The 220,000 Shinbi were enough for him now. He wouldn't think about more. After returning to the Heavenly Mandate Manor, Long Yu threw 100,000 Shinbi to Hong Yu and asked her to buy the cultivation resources that the people in the manor needed. As for himself, including the money he had before, he had 150,000 Shinbi for his own use. After that, Long Yu began a 3-day seclusion. There were still 3 days before the resource competition in the illusory world. During these 3 days, Long Yu still wanted to improve his strength. 3 days of hard work didn't go to waste. On the morning that the resource competition was about to begin, Long Yu walked out of his courtyard. He finally made a breakthrough in the innate magic power. The third magic power, the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds, finally stepped into the category of the mid-level magic power after he continued to use and comprehend it. As a pure attack method, the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds didn't have any special changes after stepping into the mid-level magic power level. The only change was that the destructive power of this move was directly increased by 5 times. This was a pure attack-type divine ability. It didn't have any strange special effects. The only effect it had was the most overbearing attack. When it was only a low-level magic power, the power of this move was not even comparable to the heaven underworld explosion of the 9 underworlds explosion of the 9 underworlds. But now, after it became a mid-level magic power, its power leaped to become the strongest among all of Long Yu's skills. Even the heaven underworld explosion, soul explosion, and space penetration were far inferior to the destructive power of this move. As for the ancient martial skill, the 9 underworld's heavenly light, it was a large-scale attack with a supplementary effect. Its destructive power couldn't compare to the dragon breath of the 9 underworlds. After the innate magic power surpasses the 9th heaven, it will transform into the Monarch Dao. That is the most terrifying technique of the Monarch Dao secret realm experts. Unfortunately, none of the Monarch realm experts I've seen have truly comprehended the Monarch Dao, Long Yu thought to himself. Of course, he didn't want to be so weak when he reached the Monarch realm. So from now on, he would cultivate the comprehension of the innate magic power as a daily routine. The deeper the comprehension of the innate magic power, the more powerful it was, and the more it could enhance his own battle strength. In comparison, the improvement of the comprehension of divine text and divine text compatibility required too much time. It wasn't something that could be achieved in a short period of time. The cultivation of 4 divine realms had been consolidated. Long Yu's current strength was several times stronger than when he first participated in the Imperial Capital event. If it was said that Long Yu had to expend a lot of effort to deal with 7 transcendent realm experts before, then now he only needed 1 or 2 simple moves to deal with 7 transcendent realm experts. The battle for resources in the illusory world would completely become the stage for Long Yu. As long as he wasn't attacked by more than 2 Monarch realm experts, Long Yu wouldn't be in any danger. He was confident enough to lead the other 4 people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor to the end in the illusory world. As for the final high-grade Desolate ranked martial skill Jade Strip, he also had some thoughts about it. If he did it right, he might really be able to obtain it. This was not the first time Long Yu had done something like this. All he needed to do was to be a qualified fisherman. Of course, it was easier said than done. It wasn't so easy to be a fisherman. It required extremely meticulous thinking and a perfect plan. As for the specifics, he could only think about it when the time came. Long Yu set off with Xiao Xing, Huamei, Chihua, and Man Xian. Before leaving, Long Yu told Hong Yu to take good care of the Heavenly Mandate Manor so that the members of the manor could quickly improve their martial arts realms. For the people of the Heavenly Mandate Manor, they didn't need to care about things like the Imperial Capital event. They just needed to work hard on their cultivation. Very quickly, Long Yu's group of 5 arrived at the central plaza of the North Snow Imperial City. At this moment, the martial arts arena was already a boiling cauldron of voices. However, only the 1,000 participants were able to see Yu Hanshin's master. The 2 illusory worlds were entered by the top 100 forces and the other forces. The things in each illusory world were the same. In other words, there would be a lot of competition in the illusory world that Long Yu was about to enter. At least, the 12 Genius King realm used from the 4 prefectures of the North Snow 8 villages would not be easy to deal with. Moreover, it was said that when they first entered, the people of each force were separated. In other words, Long Yu might not necessarily be able to find Shu Chan to cooperate with him. Yu Hanshin was waiting at the entrance of the underground martial arts arena. The location of the illusory world, this time, was naturally in the underground martial arts arena. Only the participants could enter. Because the participants had to be taken into the illusory world, their physical bodies were all in the real world. There was no room for mistakes. For this reason, Yu Hanshin and her master would personally protect the participants' physical bodies in the real world. Everyone, follow me. When the participants from the 256 forces had gathered, Yu Hanshin smiled slightly and waved her hand. Then, she led the crowd into the underground martial arts arena. At the entrance of the underground martial arts arena, two Emperor Realm cultivators quickly came to stand guard. One of them was the imperial advisor of the North Snow Empire, while the other had a bigger background. He was a young genius around the same age as Yu Hanshin. Just like Yu Hanshin, he was a disciple of the Emperor Realm cultivator from the Alliance of Five Emperors. Yu Hanshin's master was one of the 5 emperors of the Alliance of Five Emperors, the Red Emperor. In the Shunwu world, the 5 emperors ruled supreme. The Red Emperor was one of them, but that was only a title. His real name was not known to normal people. The Red Emperor's personal visit to the North Snow Empire today was a big event for the entire empire. After all, he was one of the 5 strongest Emperor Realm cultivators in the entire Shunwu world. And Yu Hanshin was already the Red Emperor's disciple. In the future, she would definitely step into Emperor Realm and elevate the North Snow Empire to become a great empire. Over 1,000 people followed Yu Hanshin to the underground martial arts arena. They couldn't contain their excitement. Many of the martial cultivators couldn't be more familiar with the underground martial arts arena. Usually, some of the more secretive competitions would be held in the underground martial arts arena. Long Yu walked in the crowd. At first, he thought it was a bit strange and was a bit cautious. He was afraid that Yu Hanshin or her Emperor Realm cultivator had ill intentions and brought them here to harm them. But after thinking about it, forget about the Red Emperor. Even if Yu Hanshin wanted to harm them, why would she beat around the bush? With the Red Emperor's strength, he could easily sweep through the entire North Snow Empire. Why would he play such tricks? Not to mention, the young geniuses of 256 forces came from the entire North Snow Empire. If anything happened to them, what good would it do her? Very quickly, the crowd arrived at the spacious underground martial arts arena. Many North Snow Empire Imperial guards surrounded them from all directions. These guards were prepared to prevent any accidents from happening. Long Yu looked at the spectator stands of the martial arts practice ground and saw an old man wearing a red robe sitting alone on an ordinary seat. He did not look conspicuous at all. Chapter 716. So that's the Red Emperor? Everyone followed behind Yu Hanshin and arrived at the underground training field. When they saw the old man in the red robe, they couldn't believe it. An Emperor Realm cultivator from the outside, there doesn't seem to be anything special. However, when someone tried to probe the old man's cultivation, they found that their probing was like throwing a stone into the ocean. No matter what they tried, they couldn't find out what the old man's cultivation was. There's only one explanation for this. The difference in cultivation between the two of them is too big. From this, it can be seen that the old man in the red robe is indeed one of the 5 emperors, the Red Emperor. Little 6 is here. The old man in the red robe's kind voice was heard. Then he stood up and turned around to face everyone. The one who appeared in front of everyone was a slightly wrinkled old man with red hair. According to the legends, the Red Emperor has lived for over 1,000 years, considered one of the older generation of cultivators in Shunwu world. But even an Emperor Realm cultivator will age with the passing of time. So what if he can live for over 1,000 years? He can't escape death in the end. In his later years, the Red Emperor devoted himself to training his direct disciples. The little 6 he mentioned was Yu Hanshin, his 6th direct disciple. Without a doubt, every direct disciple of the Red Emperor is a peerless genius. For example, Yu Hanshin, at the age of 20, she has already stepped into Emperor Realm, not far from the door of Emperor Realm. This is something normal cultivators can achieve. The Red Emperor's temperament is very gentle. Facing his juniors, he doesn't act arrogant at all. Instead, he's very kind, making everyone respect him. Since you're here, let's begin. The Red Emperor nodded to Yu Hanshin, then looked up. His old eyes were shining with an endless light. His voice became a bit sharp. Everyone here in the North Snow Dynasty, you are all top geniuses, But you must know that Shunwu world is vast. In other countries, there are countless geniuses who are stronger than you. In the North Snow Empire, you might be the strongest of the younger generation, but in the entire Shunwu world, you are nothing. I remember that one or two of you participated in the Strongest King Realm competition 5 years ago and entered the top 10,000. Although I'm old, I can tell you that it's nothing. What's the use of being in the top 10,000? If you really want to leave your name in this world and even explore the ultimate mystery of this world, this is far from enough. In 2 years, I hope that there will be a genius among you who can compete for the title of the Strongest King Realm. Now, activate the illusion. As soon as the Red Emperor finished speaking, 2 hazy balls of light instantly appeared here, and they floated in midair. There were mountains, rivers, deserts, forests, swamps, and lakes within the balls of light. It was an illusory world the size of Heavenly Mandate Island. 2 identical illusory worlds with countless records of powerful martial skills, pill recipes, and combat weapon molds were waiting for everyone to enter and compete for them. Everyone sit down. Master will send your consciousness into the illusory world. Yuhan Xin waved her hand and had everyone find a place to sit. Once everyone entered the illusory world, she, the Red Emperor, and a few others would guard everyone's bodies from the outside to prevent their bodies from being destroyed during the competition in the illusory world. Come, sit down. Over 1,000 young geniuses from all over the North Snow Empire suppressed their excitement and found a place to sit. Long Yu's group of 5 also sat down in a row. It was obvious that Xiao Ziying and Homeer were very excited. After all, they were able to meet one of the 5 emperors, the Red Emperor, who was one of the strongest warriors in the entire Shunwu world. Being able to have today's opportunity was undoubtedly because of Yuhan Xin. Yuhan Xin, with her terrifying talent, was accepted as a personal disciple by the Red Emperor, and the Red Emperor would naturally help his personal disciple with some convenient things, such as creating the Red Emperor's illusory world. After everyone sat down, a wave of energy spread out from the Red Emperor's body. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. It had begun. Long Yu had always maintained his vigilance at all times. But now, no matter how vigilant he was, it was useless. Under the influence of the Scarlet Emperor's power, he instantly became drowsy, and very quickly, he completely lost consciousness. Everyone's consciousness was sent into the 2 illusory worlds. It was over. The Red Emperor opened his eyes and subconsciously glanced at where Long Yu was. He had just felt that this kid seemed to be resisting his power and was quite vigilant. "Little Six, what's that person's name?" The Red Emperor asked Yuhan Xin with a smile. "His name is Long Yu." Yuhan Xin felt a little strange. Why did the great master suddenly notice Long Yu? "So, he is Long Yu," the Red Emperor nodded. He seemed to have some impression of Long Yu, which made Yuhan Xin feel even more strange. Could it be that even the Red Emperor had heard of Long Yu's reputation? This was too incredible, wasn't it? When Long Yu was dealing with the exotic beasts of the Wood God clan in the Source Sky Pagoda, he was noticed by the elder of the Alliance of 5 Emperors, Murong Xiuzhen. Murong Xiuzhen immediately wrote Long Yu's name on the registration. It was understandable that the Red Emperor had heard of Long Yu. Long Yu woke up slowly and found himself in a small palace. There was nothing in the palace except for the 5 people from the Heavenly Mandate Manor. Xiao Zing, Mayor, Man Xan, and Chihua quickly woke up. They looked at each other and knew that they were now in the illusory world. There's no time to lose. Let me check out the situation outside first, and then prepare to take action. Long Yu stood up and said to the 4, "If I'm not wrong, all the teams that entered this illusory world appeared in a small palace like this. As long as we don't go out, we won't encounter any danger." Divine Power, Eye of Shadows. A third eye appeared on Long Yu's forehead. A wave of detection light condensed from the divine characters of Jiu-Yu, divine characters of Death, and Azura divine characters spread out, covering an area of thousands of feet. We are in mountain. There is no danger within a radius of thousands of feet. Let's go out. Long Yu came to a conclusion. A radius of thousands of feet was only a little more than 6 miles. For martial arts practitioners in the secret realm, or even the king realm, they could fly over it in minutes. Even if they were temporarily safe, they had to be careful when they went out. Long Yu maintained the shadow, I state, the entire time, and then brought the 4 of them out of the small palace. They discovered that the palace was located halfway up a mountain, and the palace was surrounded by dark and dense forests, with huge trees that towered into the sky. Where are we going to find the Jade Scroll? Xiao Ziying asked worriedly. Look at the top of the mountain over there. There is a palace. Chihua looked around and then pointed in a direction. Everyone followed his gaze and saw a palace on the top of another mountain. That palace was different from the small palace they had just come out of. It was much more magnificent from the outside. Let's go. We don't have a target anyway. Let's fly over there and have a look. After saying that, Long Yu took out the Azura Spirit ship and had everyone sit inside. Then, he controlled the heaven-grade flying weapon and flew toward the mountain in the distance. During the entire process, Long Yu's Eyes of Umbra state was maintained. Not a single thing within a radius of 1,000 feet could escape his perception. Nothing happened along the way. After flying for more than 20 miles, they finally arrived at the entrance of the magnificent palace. There is a 6-Daos transcendent beast guarding it. As soon as Long Yu and the others landed, a beast from the Ice God clan roared and charged at them. Just this one? What a disappointment. It means that the things in this palace are not good. Chihua was puzzled. Come. Xiaohua, you and Man Zi deal with this beast together. Let's see if you have improved recently. Long Yu chuckled and patted the shoulders of the two. Brother Long, you can't look down on us like this, can you? Man Xian grinned. Xiaohua, and I can take care of this thing in minutes. Xiaohua, let's go. The stormy demonic saber and the divine rune of heavenly fire were used. In just 3 breaths' time, the Ice God clan beast was killed by the two. It seemed that the 2 of them were quite strong. Although they were only at the 2-Daos divinity realm, if they were to encounter an expert at the 6-Daos divinity realm, it wouldn't be a problem for them, let alone an exotic beast of the Ice God clan. The group entered the palace and found a jade scroll that recorded the refining method of a Great Desolate Grade Lower Grade pill. Great Desolate Grade Lower Grade pill recipe, 1 point. The group was disappointed, but they knew that this was just the beginning. There were more jade scrolls waiting for them to find. Careful, there's someone outside. Just as everyone was about to leave the palace and search for other places, Long Yu suddenly frowned and gave them a reminder. Who is it? Man Xian asked subconsciously. I don't know. Long Yu shook his head. His eyes of shadow could detect that there were 5 people outside, but he couldn't find out who they were. I only know that there are 2 7-Daos Transcendent Realm and 2 6-Daos Transcendent Realm. Don't move. I will go out and take care of them. After Long Yu finished speaking, he immediately entered into a state of concealment and quietly headed out of the palace. Xiao Zing, Hua, Mei and the others looked at each other. They didn't expect Long Yu to face so many experts alone. Could he do it? I will go help. With that, Xiao Ziying ran to the palace gate and hid. She was ready to watch the battle and help when Long Yu was in danger. But to her surprise, there was no need for her help at all. The 5 martial cultivators came from a rather strong force. Unfortunately, they had encountered Long Yu. Long Yu wouldn't waste time talking to them. He would just kill them. 1 less force meant less competition. Anyway, they wouldn't team up with Long Yu. Even if they did, they wouldn't trust each other. If that was the case, he might as well just kill them. Coming out of spirit concealment, Long Yu used space penetration. The nether void dragon blade instantly pierced through the neck of one of the 7-Daos Transcendent Realm cultivators. The person's face was filled with shock, but then he turned into white light. 1-hit kill. Who? The remaining 4 reacted immediately. They didn't feel any danger at first, but now one of them died. Chapter 717. The space penetrated one after another. After only 6 or 7 attacks, the team of 5 was eliminated by Long Yu. He didn't even have to use any other tricks. After merging with Tianqi, the combat power of the Void Spirit Dragon Blade skyrocketed. Against an ordinary opponent in the 7 realms of divinity, it could kill them silently with a wave of its hand. Even though the last 7 martial cultivators in the 7 realms of divinity used defensive tricks and took out defensive weapons, it was useless. The space penetrated. The first attack penetrated the opponent's defensive barrier. The second attack broke the opponent's defensive weapon. The third attack penetrated the opponent's chest, shattering his heart meridian. When the 5 people of that force all turned into white light and disappeared, they didn't see Long Yu. Now, Long Yu could kill people invisibly. They didn't even see him when he died. Amazing. Xiao Xing wanted to help, but when she saw the situation, she couldn't help but exclaim softly. Long Yu was too strong. He killed his opponents with a wave of his hand, but they didn't even see Long Yu's shadow. Even though one of them understood the divine characters of light, when he tried to probe, Long Yu pierced his neck with the space penetrated. He turned into white light and disappeared. A powerful force, because of encountering Long Yu, was eliminated. It seems that for Long Yu, only King Realm cultivators are his match. The 4 people who came out with Long Yu all thought so. That's right. Long Yu's target was those King Realm cultivators. That Jade Scroll disappeared, but we got some points. Hua Mei ran to Qihua and said to Long Yu, Hua Mei took the Desolation Grade lower level elixir recipe Jade Scroll. It turned into white light and disappeared not long ago. But now they were in the Red Emperor's illusion, and that Jade Scroll was not a real thing. It was normal for it to disappear. After leaving the Dreamland, the Scarlet Emperor and Yu Hanxin would probably distribute the real Jade Scrolls to the forces that obtained the Jade Scrolls. Heavenly Mandate Manor, 1 point. Basically, all of the over 200 forces had only gotten 1 point so far. This was because there were only recipes of Great Desolate Grade pellets near the small-scale palaces. If they wanted to get more points, they had to explore more areas. Let's go. Long Yu led the group and set off again. There was an extremely luxurious palace built near the mouth of a volcano, and there were 3 fire beasts with 7 divine tier cultivation guarding it. It was obvious that the palace had extremely valuable jade scrolls. Great Desolate Grade, middle grade pill recipe, a mold for a low grade, Great Desolate level combat weapon. No matter which one it was a good thing. 3 groups of 5 rushed towards the palace at almost the same time, including those from the Skyfire County. There were 2 geniuses at the 7 Divinity Realm and 3 youths at the 6 Divinity Realm. Their battle prowess was definitely not weak. Of course, those who were able to enter the illusion of the Red Emperor were all from the top 100 forces, and they all had 2 young geniuses at the 7 Divinity Realm. The Skyfire County could only be said to be at the bottom. Brother Huiyaoyu, there's a luxurious palace at the mouth of the volcano. There should be something good in there, at least 10 points. A fox demon at the 6th Divinity Realm from the Heaven Fire Fox clan said to Huiyaoyu among the 5. This volcano is so obvious. There must be other people here. We don't have to worry. Huiyaoyu squinted his eyes and quickly found a cave not far from the mouth of the volcano. He led the group to hide inside. Not long after, they saw another group of 5 walking towards the luxurious palace at the mouth of the volcano. When they saw the 5 people, Huiyaoyu and the others were shocked. It's the people from the Spirit Flame Manor. That's the super genius from the Spirit Flame Manor, the Black Flame King. He entered the secret realm of King's Path last year and replaced his brother as one of the 12 geniuses of the King's Realm in this year's Imperial Capital Grand Ceremony. With the people from the Spirit Flame Manor here, it seems like there's no hope for us. Don't worry, let's hide here for a while. Who knows, there might be other forces coming to deal with the Black Flame King. At that time, we can fish in troubled waters. Brother Huiyaoyu is right. The 5 people from the Heaven Fire County hid at the side, while the 5 people from the Spirit Flame Manor slowly approached the luxurious palace under the lead of the genius Black Flame King. 3 7 Divinity Realm fiery beasts. Humph! What a joke. The Black Flame King was a fireball demon. After transforming into his human form, He had a sturdy body. When he fought, his entire body would be covered in black flames that could melt anything. Even a great desolate grade combat weapon would not be able to withstand the black flames. These black flames were the black flame divine characters that the Black Flame King had comprehended. The complete divine characters were extremely powerful. I'll take care of them myself. You guys protect me. The Black Flame King looked at the 3 fiery beasts at the entrance of the luxurious palace and made his move. Black flames danced in the sky, covering the whole place in an instant, emitting a terrifying aura. However, at this moment, the remaining 4 fireball demons of the Spirit Flame Manor were attacked. Puff! One of the 7 Divinity Realm Bull Demons was still sighing at the power of the Black Flame King when a cold light suddenly pierced through his head. A 7 Divinity Realm Bull Demon was killed. Space piercing. Long Yu used his divine concealment technique and hid at the side, continuing to use his space-piercing technique to deal with the remaining 2 7 Divinity Realm Bull Demons. Roar! The 2 7 Divinity Realm Bull Demons immediately roared. Before long, you could launch a second sneak attack. They had already returned to their original form. The 2 giant bulls appeared on the battlefield and charged at Long Yu. They found me? Long Yu frowned. He did not know how they found him, but since they found him, he could only fight them head-on. Primordial Shadow. 4 primordial shadows appeared beside Long Yu and charged at the 2 giant bulls. In the next moment, Shadow Kill Art. The primordial shadows used the Shadow Kill Art respectively. The shadows of the 4 primordial shadows burst out in an instant, and the 9 Nether Divine text condensed into a black blade, killing the leading bull demon instantly. The bull demon did not expect that the shadows that he was completely unaware of would suddenly kill him. Before he could even react, his strong body had already been killed by the Shadow Kill Art and turned into white light. In the blink of an eye, the 2 7 Divinity Realm Bull Demons were taken care of by Long Yu. The remaining 7 Divinity Realm Bull Demon and 6 Divinity Realm Bull Demon retreated. Lord Black Flame King, there's an enemy, it's that Long Yu. The 7 Divinity Realm Bull Demon retreated directly, not daring to face Long Yu, and shouted loudly. Long Yu? The Black Flame King was dealing with the 3 fire beasts, and was shocked when he heard that. Was this the 3 Divinity Realm kid who forced Long Yu to admit defeat? No, he had already stepped into the 4 Divinity Realm now, but what's there to be afraid of for a mere Divinity Realm kid? I'm not trash like Long Yu. The Black Flame King roared, and a cluster of black flames suddenly spewed out from his mouth and fell towards Long Yu. Divine ability, Fallen Black Flames. This cluster of black flames must be extremely terrifying. Just by looking at how the surrounding air was completely burned when it fell, one could tell how powerful it was. Shadow Release. Long Yu's speed was extremely fast. In an instant, he was far away and wanted to avoid this cluster of black flames. However, he soon found out that this cluster of black flames was actually tracking him. Could it be that he could only take it head-on? No. Even if Long Yu cultivated the Death Realm, he was not confident that he could take on the intermediate-level divine ability of a King Realm expert. If he was really hit by it, he might just die and turn into white light. Long Yu would not be so careless. Shadow Spiral. The 7th grade God Chain was displayed, and the 9 Nether Divine text condensed into a spiral. The place where it appeared was actually at the feet of the 7 Divinity Realm Ox Demon. The appearance of the Shadow Spiral immediately bound the Ox Demon. Even if the Ox Demon tried his best to break free, it would take some time. In the next moment, Long Yu flashed behind him. The black flames from the Black Flame King descended from the sky and landed on the Ox Demon. Sizzle. The sound of something burning was heard. Then, Long Yu saw the 7 Divinity Realm Ox Demon being incinerated by the black flames. The Black Flame King's attack had actually landed on his own people. Shadow Spiral. This God Chain technique was an extremely powerful control technique. The Ox Demon that was entangled by the Shadow Spiral could not avoid the bombardment of the black flames. Just like that, It became Long Yu's shield. The Black Flame King could control the Black Flames. However, just as Long Yu displayed the shadow spiral, an unexpected flame power descended from the sky and swept towards the Black Flame King, attracting his attention. Huamei Chihua. The two of them appeared near the Black Flame King and attacked him. Together with the 3 fire beasts that were guarding the luxurious palace, they blocked the Black Flame King's way. Kill! Long Yu immediately attacked. With the void nether dragon blade in his hand, he killed the remaining 6 divinity realm ox demon. Only the Black Flame King was left in the entire spirit flame manor. I want all of you dead. The Black Flame King's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. He never expected that this operation would be so unsuccessful. Long Yu actually wiped out his subordinates right from the start. Although he was a King Realm expert, he was still afraid of being surrounded and hunted down in a place like this. So what if he was a King Realm expert? Although he was strong, he would still be exhausted. Facing an endless number of enemies, the Black Flame King still hoped that his subordinates could hold back some of the opponents for him, so that he could save some energy. However, all of this had gone down the drain. It was originally a team battle, but now it had become a personal battle for the Black Flame King. He needed to face the Heavenly Mandate Manor team, led by Long Yu alone, as well as the 3 fire beasts that were guarding the luxurious palace. These 3 beasts formed from flames. Let's call them the beasts of the Fire God clan for the time being. Long Yu thought to himself, but he did not know that his idea of naming them was completely correct. Chapter 718. Can I really face an expert from the King Path Mystery Realm? Not far away from the Black Flame King, Mayor was extremely nervous. This was her first time facing an expert from the King Path Mystery Realm. She had used an innate mystique to sneak an attack on the Black Flame King, but it was easily blocked by the Black Flame King. It was clear that the gap between them was huge. Don't be nervous, we just need to harass him, Chi was said to Huamei. Then, he turned into a flaming fox with 9 flaming tails behind him. The power of the source of Heaven Fire Divine text was released. Even though he was only at the Second Path Mystery Realm, under the suppression of the Black Flame King's powerful aura, he suddenly comprehended a deeper level of the source of Heaven Fire Divine text. Huamei held the great desolate level upper grade combat weapon in her hand. The hidden Heaven Fire emitted a power that was comparable to Chi Hua's source of Heaven Fire Divine text. The two of them joined forces and attacked the Black Flame King. However, their attacks were feints. They were only to harass the Black Flame King and couldn't hurt him at all. The Black Flame King couldn't be bothered with the two of them. Instead, he charged at Long Yu. Great! Space penetration. Long Yu waved his hand and unleashed the Nether Void Dragon Blade. Like a pitch-black stream of light, he instantly appeared behind the Black Flame King. With a loud bang, the Nether Void Dragon Blade exploded the Black Flame Divine text on the Black Flame King's body. However, the Black Flame King was unharmed. Not only that, the Black Flame King was covered in a layer of Black Flame Divine text. After being destroyed by the Nether Void Dragon Blade, he recovered immediately. This was a defensive barrier with extremely strong recovery ability. Unless the Black Flame King's power was exhausted, it was impossible to defeat the Black Flame King. Brat, do you really think that you can defeat me, Black Old Bull, just because you defeated a coward like Long Yao? Go to hell. The Black Flame King coldly snorted, and the Black Flame Divine runes on his body burst forth, turning into meteors that smashed down towards Long Yu from the sky. These Black Flame Divine characters, shooting stars, actually contain the power of space. When Long Yu sensed the power of the falling pitch-black meteors, his heart trembled. Although he didn't know how the Black Flame King controlled spatial power, it also meant that Long Yu couldn't rely on the Dragon Sparrow dodge to dodge this move. However, there was still a lot he could do. Dragon Bone Ancient Tower. With a wave of his hand, Long Yu released the ancient Dragon Bone Tower and hid within it. The Dragon Bone Tower is a grand, desolate, top-tier combat weapon. It's almost impossible to find a similar weapon in the entire Shenwu world. Long Yu hid inside and activated the 9 Underworld Heaven screen to protect the entire tower. Countless black flame divine text meteors descended and heavily smashed onto the ancient Dragonbone Tower, even setting it ablaze. This was the Black Flame King's terrifying strength. It was even stronger than the Ghost Evil King from back then. Under the burning of these black flame divine characters, Long Yu continuously condensed the 9 Underworld Heaven screen. Finally, after condensing the 9 Underworld Heaven screen 3 times, he managed to forcefully block the opponent's attack. This won't do. The ancient Dragonbone Tower is still too weak. If I can obtain tens of thousands of divine text crystals and repair it, it will definitely be able to block the attack of an Emperor Realm expert, just like the Azura Ancient Palace. Long Yu thought to himself. With the current power of the ancient Dragonbone Tower, the 9 Underworld Heaven screen could only be condensed 5 times. After that, the ancient Dragonbone Tower would no longer have the ability to defend against an Emperor Realm expert. Withdraw. Long Yu immediately put away the ancient Dragonbone Tower. In the next moment, the intermediate mystiques, Hand of 9 Underworld and Soul Seal Siphon, were unleashed at almost the same time. After using the Black Flame Divine character's meteors, the Black Flame King ignored Long Yu and turned around to deal with the others and the 3 Fire God Tribe exotic beasts. However, he didn't expect Long Yu to block his attack. Not only did he block it, but he also turned around and used 2 innate mystiques that instantly hit the Black Flame King. The Black Flame King had prepared an innate mystique to deal with Chi Hua and Hua Mei, but it was interrupted by Long Yu. The Hand of 9 Underworld appeared from the void and grabbed the Black Flame King. Although it was quickly canceled out by the Black Flame barrier around the Black Flame King, there was still a trace of 9 Underworld divine text energy that sneaked into the Black Flame King's body. At the same time, while the Black Flame barrier was canceled out by the Hand of 9 Underworld, the 5-colored Siphon divine text instantly descended and started to absorb the soul imprint in the Black Flame King's body. The Black Flame King felt that something was wrong. He frowned and took out a high-grade, desolate-level combat weapon. It was a flame cloak. He put on his body, and it emitted a layer of fiery light that completely extinguished the 5-colored Siphon divine text. Defensive combat weapon? Long Yu also frowned. He didn't expect the Black Flame King to have so many tricks up his sleeves. However, it didn't matter. The space piercing appeared once again and shot towards the Black Flame King's temple. Puff! The Nether Void Dragon Blade pierced a small part of the Black Flame King's head. However, the Black Flame King reacted extremely quickly. A cluster of Black Flame divine text burst out and blasted the Nether Void Dragon Blade away. This combat weapon is really wasted in your hands. The Black Flame King glanced at the Nether Void Dragon Blade and sneered. Is that so? Long Yu didn't deny it. At this moment, all kinds of flame divine text descended from the sky and instantly shrouded the Black Flame King's head. Long Yu wasn't alone in this battle. Even the 3 beasts of the Fire God clan that were guarding the luxurious palace targeted the Black Flame King who had intruded into their territory. They immediately unleashed all kinds of divine flames and shrouded the Black Flame King. Even the Black Flame King couldn't remain indifferent in the face of so many attacks. The flaming cloak behind him suddenly floated up and covered his entire body. When a series of flames suddenly arrived, they were actually completely blocked by the flaming cloak. The flaming cloak has a powerful defense against the power of the flame divine text. Furthermore, it can amplify the power of the fire attribute divine text that the user unleashes. This is an excellent combat weapon for those who comprehend the fire attribute divine text. Huameir exclaimed from the side. There was only one flaming cloak in the entire North Snow Empire, and that was the one in the Spirit Flame Manor. Who would have thought that the Manor Lord of the Spirit Flame Manor would actually pass it down to his son, the Black Flame King? It's ineffective? Then let's try this. Nether Yellow Springs Explosion. Long Yu's eyes turned cold. He directly condensed the power of the 9 Nether Divine text, and formed a Nether Yellow Springs world. This world stored the souls of all the living beings that Long Yu had killed since the beginning. However, after a few explosions, this Nether Yellow Springs world had become much smaller, and its power was definitely not as before. Of course, this move was still one of the most powerful moves that Long Yu could unleash. Explode. The Nether Yellow Springs world instantly arrived in front of the Black Flame King and exploded in the next moment. Under the unending stream of attacks, the Black Flame King could only defend. He wanted to counterattack, but he was unable to do so. The might of Long Yu's move made even him exclaim in admiration. When you were dealing with Long Yao, you didn't use this move. The Black Flame King's eyes narrowed, but he did not panic. His figure changed, and he directly transformed into his ox demon form. The black flame divine text on his body became denser, and he became a black fire ox. The fleshly body of a demonic cultivator was much stronger than that of a human cultivator, not to mention an expert that had stepped into the king realm. The Black Flame King was actually able to forcefully block Long Yu's Heaven Underworld explosion with just his fleshly body. It's just so. The Black Flame King was about to speak, but in the next moment he saw that Long Yu had attacked with another terrifying magical power. Dragon Breath of the Nine Nether. When Long Yu used this move, the entire vicinity of the volcano instantly became gloomy. This was the first time he used the Nine Underworld's Dragon Breath, since it became an intermediate magical power. Dragon Breath Break. Long Yu's body was shrouded in the Nine Underworld's divine text. Immediately, 2 Nine Underworld's dragons appeared in his eyes. As the 2 Nine Underworld's dragons continued to grow, Long Yu suddenly spat out a Nine Underworld's Dragon Breath. The destructive power of this Nine Underworld's Dragon Breath was even stronger than the Nether Yellow Springs explosion just now. The Black Flame King, who had just used his physical body to withstand the Nether Yellow Springs explosion, was caught off guard. He only had time to pull the flame cloak behind him in front of him to block the Nine Underworld's Dragon Breath. Space penetration. Long Yu didn't forget to make a move at this time. As his strongest and most concealed killing move, spatial penetration, it was his greatest reliance against King Realm experts. Boom! The Nine Underworld's Dragon Breath exploded and enveloped the Black Flame King. Poof! The space penetration appeared and directly pierced through one of the Black Flame King's legs. Blood instantly flowed. However, this guy's a bull and has 4 legs. Even if one of his legs is crippled, it won't affect him too much, Long Yu frowned. He raised his hand and kept the void Nether Dragon Blade. He had basically used up all his moves. If there were no accidents, the Black Flame King would definitely use all means to deal with him. Since that was the case, Nine Underworld's Divine Light. A pitch-black divine light appeared and Long Yu's figure hid in the Nine Underworld's divine text. The Black Flame King had finished resisting the Nine Underworld's Dragon Breath. One of his legs was dripping with blood. Just as he was about to disregard everything to kill Long Yu, a black fog appeared in front of him, and Long Yu's figure had already disappeared. Is such a move useful against me, the Black Old Bull? The Black Flame King sneered. However, at this moment, the attacks from the others descended again. Flames! 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 They were all flames. No, amidst the series of flames, there was also a series of splashes. Xiao Xing, who was hiding in the dark, had finally made her move. Divine ability. Water Heavenly Burial. Before the series of flame attacks, a series of surging water currents arrived first and washed the flame cloak, causing the radiance of the flame cloak to dim. In the next moment, endless flame attacks descended. This time, even the flame cloak could not withstand it. The attacks from Hua, Mei Qi Hua, and the 3 fire god race beasts shattered the barrier of the flame cloak and spread to the Black Flame King's body. Poof! The void Nether Dragon Blade turned into a pitch-black sharp blade again. This time, it was aimed at the other leg of the Black Flame King. When the Black Flame King was being held back by the other flame attacks, Long Yu made his move again. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.